Hello, filter-free America listeners. Joey Vincent back in your ears. Clear out the earwax. Pull out whatever things you jam in your ears. What do we put in our ears? Just Q-tips, right? That's the only thing, right? Just Q-tips go in there. Q-tips, fingers, like a wet willy. That goes in your ear. What else goes in your ear? Nothing, right? I mean, you put like earbuds in your ear, but clearly if you got earbuds in your ear right now and you're hearing me, you're listening to me, so I don't want you to pull those out, right? What else goes in your ear, right? Anybody stick a flower in there, like for decoration? No, that goes behind your ear, whatever. So there's nobody sticking a dick in your ear, unless you're into that. I mean, if you're into that, I hope you get lots of dicks stuck in your ears, right? Both ears, like two dicks going into left and right ear at the same time, rhythmically, maybe. Yeah, whatever. Okay, we're already off the rails. Anyway, welcome to the show. Got a crazy show. First, let me start with an apology. Again, delinquent with new episodes, right? I promised you. I said I'm gonna, get 2 episodes a week every week. That was what I started out at. Remember that? Yeah, and then reality hit me. Wait a minute. I could put out 2 shitty episodes every 2 weeks, or 2 shitty episodes every week. But that'd be shitty. I want to put quality before quantity. So I said, I'll try to get 2 episodes up a week. If I don't, I'm going to for sure get you 1 episode a week. But guarantee it's going to be a good one. Well, dropped the ball on that one. Haven't had a new episode up in, almost 2 weeks now? Yeah. But I have a valid excuse. Almost lost my leg. That's part of it. Also had a big CD recording show I had to do. That was another big part of it. So yeah, you got to bear with me. First, let me address the first thing. Yeah, almost lost my leg. Here's how it went down. Sunday, went to bed. This is a week ago this past Sunday. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, whatever. Doesn't matter to you. Time is linear here. Anyway, went to bed on a Sunday night with a slight itch in my lower right leg. I had went to the gym that day. Everything was fine. Not a problem. I said, well, whatever. Went to bed, woke up next day, still itched a little bit more, felt a little bit more discomfort, saw a little bit of reddening down there. Okay, went to the gym again, worked out, didn't really have a problem, but definitely was feeling some pain in there. Came back from the gym, sat down, and I was off, because I took the week off for getting ready for the CD show, recording show. And it started getting progressively more and more painful at a rapid pace. So much so that by 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, I was walking with a very noticeable limp. We had an appointment. The lady and her son went to the appointment. After we left the appointment, we went out to eat and sat down to eat. And then I started getting sick. Nauseated, right? Legs hurting more, getting more red, getting more discomfort. And had to go to the hospital. Went to the hospital, went to the ER. Again, increasingly more pain, getting lightheaded, stomach and everything. And leg looking much more red, turning to a purplish thing, and then getting some splotches moving up the side of my leg. So whatever it was spreading and at a rapid pace. Now, it was at this moment. Oh, I didn't turn my phone off, but whatever. It's still making noise. Bear with it. It was at this time I thought back to the episode I recorded not too long ago where I interviewed Ellie, a lady named Ellie who had flesh-eating disease. So in the back of my head, I'm thinking, holy shit, do I have flesh-eating disease? I was terrified. I'm like, oh, this is not good. I can't wait to see what the doctor does. He's going to freak out. They're going to have to cut my leg off or something. I was just worst case scenario. That's just me. That's my default thinking. Anywho, doctor came in, took a look at it, and he wasn't flesh-eating disease. I could tell by his relaxed demeanor and the fact that he touched it with his bare hand. So I figured, well, if he's doing that, he's not too worried about this. We'll see how it goes. Well, long story short, he thought it was, what was it called? Cellulosis? Cellulosis, I think that's right. Whatever, it's a bacteria on top of the skin. He said there's a really good chance I got it from the gym. So it's not uncommon for it to go there. Also, use that as a reminder, when you go to a gym, make sure you wipe down your equipment. And when you get ready to use equipment, use those disinfectant disposable towels they have there and wipe that motherfucker down. It's not going to be 100%. Still a possibility you could spread staph or what I had or whatever else around. But just make that precaution. And please don't be an asshole if you go to the gym. Wipe down your fucking equipment, you sloppy motherfuckers. And take showers and shit. And don't bring fucking bacteria to the gym. Okay? Anyway, by the end of that medical visit, I couldn't walk, literally. Like, I was like, I can't move. This leg is like, falling off. Part of the doctor's orders were to get in bed, lay in bed, put your leg up. So that's what I did. Biggest problem, though, I got a CD recording show to do in like less than a week. And, excuse me. Oh, sorry, I had to burp. I'm not going to edit that out. I'm too lazy. So like that Monday night, then I went to the doctor. I had planning to go hit up an open mic, get a rep there. I already had some time scheduled at an open mic the next night. I was going to go hit that up, run some material there, get ready. I mean, that's not a thing. I mean, you don't just, when you get ready to record a CD, you want to be ready to go. You want to be warmed up. I don't know if you're not a comedian, you don't understand, but delivering jokes is not, you don't just learn how to do it and you just do it forever. It's like a muscle. You gotta work that muscle, right? So I needed some warm-up sets. So missed my warm-up set on Monday. Missed my warm-up set on Tuesday. Wednesday, still sick. Didn't go anywhere. Could have went to an open mic that night. Still sick. So it was at that time, we said, you know what? There's a good chance I may not be able to perform at all. If the antibiotics that he gave me didn't kick in soon enough, this might be a big loss of the show here. I'm going to have somebody fill in my spot. I wasn't going to let the show not go. But, it is what it is. Well, I was talking to the venue owner. Ticket sales weren't the best for the Friday show. There were some there. Definitely some interest and stuff. People were going to show up for that one. But we made the call to just cancel that show and encourage everybody to go to the other shows. That way it would, definitely fill the room for that show and give me an extra day of healing. So that's what we did. The next Thursday, Thursday morning, I woke up. Started to feel better. It's like the canceling of the show the day before, sending out that release, and then the next day, I started to go up on the upswing. Still a little pain, still a little discomfort, but at least I could move around on my own. It was clear the antibiotics were kicking in, and that's good because the headliner, who was going to headline the show, who was also the guest for this episode, comedian Tom Simmons, was flying in Thursday, and I had to go pick him up. So I went to go pick him up, again feeling better. We got back, and then that night, I got to do my first and only practice set. No, I take that back. One of only 2 practice sets within the week of the recording at Goonies Comedy Club. We shot up there, and he and I both did 10 plus minutes or whatever, just to, stretch and whatever. Had a great time. Awesome crowd there. Exceptionally larger crowd than normal. That was good. I love Goonies Comedy Club. If you're ever in Rochester, Minnesota, please go check out Goonies Comedy Club. They got a free open mic you can attend on Thursday nights, and they have shows on Friday and Saturday night. So definitely check them out. Anyway, came back to the cities. Again, we didn't have a show Friday night, so we went around, looked around, looking for places to go. Oh, that's right. No, I didn't do a set on Friday night. We just kind of hung out on Friday night. I took him to show him a couple places in the area. Took him to the Corner Bar. Corner Bar didn't give us any time there. I guess we missed our connection with who was going to put us up there, but whatever. So we went back, and then into the weekend, we had shows going. And, of course, the week progressed, and Saturday happened. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit worried. I'm like, I don't know. I'm not as warmed up as I should be. This is a pretty big deal. You're recording a CD. I've got 1 and 2 chances to get it right because we only had 2 shows scheduled. We had the early show and the late show. Late show numbers weren't looking good for the late show. I think we sold 6 tickets for the late show. So, well, let's hope the first show works. Let's hope I do good. So this might be the only shot. And I tell you what, in comedy sometimes, guys, magic happens, right? I don't know what it is. A comedian can psych themselves out, and then sometimes they can psych themselves up. And I think I definitely psyched myself up. because I have never felt more cool going into a show. And not just my opinion, but the headliner Tom Simmons, who I've worked with quite a few times, and Darryl Horner, who was the MC, also a former guest of the show. They said they saw an amazing set come out of me that they'd never seen before, and that's really what it felt like. I got up there. I did. I needed. Again, this is not going to be a full length album. It's only supposed to be like an EP length, so 25 to 30 minutes. So I needed to get at least that much time. And I got up there, and I ended up doing 44 minutes, and everything worked. It was amazing, right? And trust me, if you don't know me, I'm very critical and hard on myself as far as did I do good, did I not do good, show to show or whatever. But I have never felt so good on stage in my life. It was so much fun. The show completely sold out. We had 30-something pre-buy. It was, again, it only holds 80 people, so it's not like I'm doing like Target Stadium or something here, or Target Field or whatever. But the show completely sold out. We had 30-something pre-sales, and then we had almost 40 walk-ups. People who saw advertisement that I had posted, people who just like knew that they had comedy there coming in. So the show was perfect. Every seat was filled, and man, every joke hit well for me, and I couldn't be happy. There was I did forget one joke I wanted to record. I don't know if I'm just going to not put it on there. It was a pretty important joke, but won't change the album. And then also I might have a pretty long closer, about a 10-minute closer. Not even that long because I edited it down a little bit, but about an 8-minute closing joke. And first part of it, some drunk people are up front. Got a little talky. So I threw off the rhythm a little bit, but it still closed strong enough. So I think with some good editing or whatever, I think we can clean it up and make it everything it is. But aside from those couple things, again, I had one of the best sets I've ever had in my life. Excuse me. And very happy about that. Tom, of course, went up after me. He ended up doing 50-something minutes. And Tom Simmons is Tom Simmons. Tom Simmons is a brilliant joke writer, a hilarious comedian, and a wonderful human being. And boy, he kicked ass on stage that night as well too. So I'm going to adjust this microphone here, so if you hear a little noise, it's my fault. So yeah, it was exactly what I needed. He needed it. We had a great time. We loved it. Darryl had a great set as an MC. Darryl, fantastic headliner in his own right, but he can do it all. And I tell you what, you've not seen a show MC'd until you've seen him MC a show. I don't know what it is. He's magic in the MC spot. He is. It's exactly why I hired him to MC the show, because I just knew, and he always will give you these intros that just build you up and build up your confidence and just make you seem like more than you are. And I needed that psychological edge. It was very funny that I don't know if we talk about it in the podcast or not, but Tom, as soon as he went on stage, he was like, "Man, give it up for your host, Darryl Horner. What about that intro? That was great. That intro was so good, it made me want to see myself." And that's what Darryl does, man. So yeah. So if I can plug him at all, book him as a headliner, use him as a feature, book him as an MC. That guy does really good work. All right. Now, that's all the excuse making. Anyway, my leg, if you care, it's getting better now. I'm still taking antibiotics for it to clear it out, but it's definitely healing up. I've got full use of it. I'm going back to the gym now. Went back to work. So yeah, I'm good on that. So I'm sure you guys are concerned and worried. I appreciate your concern and worry. All right, let's talk about the episode. As I already mentioned, the guest is Tom Simmons. We recorded this the day after our big show on Saturday. And yeah, so you'll have references to that. And I just basically want to talk to Tom. I was like, dude, I don't know what we're going to talk about. Let's see what happens. Talk a little bit about his history in comedy, him coming up. And it's just a really good conversation that allows you to get to know this comedian who I am a big personal fan of, and I want you to be too. I've referred to this before. Tom Simmons is one of the top names on my list of top 10 comics that are slept on in this country, or this planet, I guess would be better. And it's absolutely correct. I mean, this guy should be a household name. He should be as famous as a Louis C.K. or I don't know, whoever your comedian of choice is. You should know who he is. And sadly, I don't think enough people do. at least aren't the hardcore comedy fans or aren't in comedy. This dude is extremely funny, extremely smart, and again, just a damn good human being. So you'll get to know him a little bit more. We'll get to talk a little bit about his comedy history. We even go off on a tangent, I think, there for a little bit. Maybe, Tom, for the most part, we line up with a lot of things, politically and socially and things like that. We're very, very close. One where we have stark different opinions is gun ownership. I am staunchly, is that the right word? Am I using it right? Staunchly pro Second Amendment. I'm a firearm owner and enthusiast. Grew up around them all my life. Actually had a firearm save my life one time. And I think we'll talk about that in another episode. But yeah, so we disagree on that. So we get into a little bit of that, and we have a friendly but heated exchange there where we go back and forth, a little tit for tat, whatever. But trust me, it's all out of friendship, mutual respect, or whatever. He's enlightened me and changed some points of view of me, and I think if you ask him, I think I've at least given him some things to think of, as well too, some points of view that he didn't have before. But whatever. The point is, you get a chance to get to know this guy, and I want you to get to know this guy. Like I'm really right now. I'm campaigning for him to be more recognized, to be more successful, and it takes people like you, to make that happen. Go to his website, and let me tell you that right now. It's TomSimmonsComedy.com. Tom, regular spelling, T-O-M, Simmons, S-I-M-M-O-N-S. Tom Simmons Comedy, COMEDY.com. Tom Simmons Comedy.com is his website. From there, you can find links to his Twitter. Actually, I think it's suspended on Twitter right now because he said something both mean and correct to the president. So I think they suspended him. I don't know if he'll be back on there or not, but whatever. But you can find him on Facebook. You can find all kinds of videos, and you can find, more importantly, his calendar. And I want you to immediately go to his calendar and find out when's the next time he's going to be close to you, and I want you to buy tickets and go. Okay? Go see Tom Simmons live. Okay? I'm not bullshitting with you. I don't fuck around with comedy, man. If I like a comedian, I'm going to tell that comedian. I don't care if it's a brand new open mic or whatever. I try to be very complimentary about comics, and I don't fuck around with it. I don't say nice things about comics for no reason, because I love and respect comedy, and I want it to be legit, right? Tom Simmons is fucking great. Tom Simmons is great. If you like pure stand-up, if you like well-written jokes, clever humor, and smart, intelligent joke writing, right, you're going to like Tom Simmons. Even if you don't agree with everything he stands for politically, and I'm pretty sure some of you are not, right? I don't agree with every joke that he says, but even jokes, if he has some great jokes about his points of view on guns, and while I don't agree with everything he's saying, I still laugh and appreciate the brilliance of how he's presenting his position via comedy. Okay? That's how you know he's a great comic, if you can sit back and appreciate that. Also, that's how you know if you're a great comedy fan. You're not always going to agree with what the comic says, but appreciate the skill that it takes to do what they do. And God damn it, he's just funny. Okay? So that's my I'm not going to lush over him too much more. I think that should be enough. But I absolutely mean it. Please go see him live. Please support him. If you can't go see him live, I believe a lot of his CDs are available, probably through iTunes, and you can probably get to there via his website as well, too, TomSimmonsComedy.com. Go buy every copy of a CD. Go buy every single one of them. You're not going to be disappointed, right? If you don't have money, if you can't do that, whatever, then just go find him on YouTube and watch some of his videos and appreciate that. Like, comment, share his videos. That's something you can do. You can spend no money whatsoever. If you've got access to social media, you find a video that you like, him doing a joke that you enjoy, share it on your feed. Say, hey, check out this guy, comedian Tom Simmons, because that's how it works. Okay, that's how comedians best get exposure, best build fan bases, or whatever. I mean, keep in mind, he's got a great fan base. He's been doing this for over 20 years. But some comedians, especially ones like him who are not doing the easy comedy, the comedy that's everybody can laugh at this. It's great for television. It's all that, and we talk about that too. He's just a hardcore, pure joke writer who doesn't pull any punches, who's fearless on stage and will write a joke about anything that strikes him. And sometimes those guys and gals don't get the push that they should. And it takes, pure comedy fans like yourselves to seek them out, share them, build them up, give them some numbers so the industry can recognize, okay, well, I guess we will make some money off of him now. Whatever. Okay. Whatever. But TomSimmonsComedy.com. That's what we're going to be talking about. All right, let's knock out all the business stuff. Did I forget anything else? Oh, let me think. There was a handful of guests, not a lot, but there was a handful of guests who came to the CD recording show at Sisyphus Saturday who were fans of the podcast. And, God, dog, that means so much to me that, number one, you take time to listen to the show. This means a lot to me. The show is very important to me. I put a lot of work and a lot of effort into the show. And the fact that people are listening, that our numbers are growing, that's great. But the fact that you went to the next level, not only do you listen to the show, but you came to my show, my comedy show, and to support me there too. And I got a tear in my eye already. Means a lot. We talked about the CD. Don't have a release date for that yet. I just got the rough copy of it. I'm going through it, doing some editing notes and things like that now. But my goal is to have it done by the end of January because I'm going out of town for a show, and I would definitely like to take that with and sell. So we'll see what happens. What's the other reminder? Oh yeah, rate and review. Rate and review the podcast, please. Especially if you're iTunes, Stitcher. What's the other big ones? I don't know. Whatever. Whatever platform you're using, it doesn't matter. But definitely, if you're iTunes, please, if you're iTunes, go to the page for Filter Free America on iTunes. Subscribe, definitely subscribe, and give it a 5-star review. I think 5 is the best. Click 5 stars and just write something if you can, please. Like, hey, really enjoy the show. Great show. Something simple like that. If you want to go more and more detail and express your never-ending and dying love and affection for the show, then please do that as well too. But just a little bit right there is definitely helpful. Definitely helpful. Right? So, because as I progress in comedy, I want this podcast to be a tool to help me reach and contact more audiences, to help me and give me the financial freedom to move about and perform more and do more. God, I want to quit my job too and just do comedy full time. And so you doing that is hugely helpful for me. I promise you I will never charge you anything for one of these podcasts. Just do that for me. Rate and review, no matter the platform, but especially if you're iTunes. Please do all that for me. What else? I guess I'll start talking about that. I mentioned the show in Joplin, Missouri. It's actually 30 minutes outside of Joplin, Missouri, in Miami, Oklahoma, at the Looney Saloon. Looney Saloon is a comedy club located inside and upstairs of Stables Casino in Miami, Oklahoma. So I'll have more information coming out. I'm going to start, doing some posting there and so forth too. But the plan is for me to be there. What is it? 25th and 26th, I think. Yeah, it's the last weekend of January, whatever that is. I'll confirm the date by the next episode because I'm too lazy and too dumb to write that shit down, apparently. But Looney Saloon, 30 minutes outside of Joplin, Missouri. It's located in Stables Casino. It's inside Stables Casino upstairs. And Stables Casino is technically in Miami, Oklahoma, which is two very conflicting names to me. Miami, think of warm, sunny place. Oklahoma, I don't think of Miami. But whatever, that's what they chose to name it. And I will be there. And get this, I'll be up there and I'll be kind of co-headlining with past guests and person who I just told you about how awesome he was, Darryl Horner. Yeah, I'm bringing Darryl with me. I'm going to go down there. We're going to tell some jokes together. We're going to meet you. We're going to have fun, whatever. So if you're in that area, last week of January, I think it's 2 nights, 2 shows, or maybe 2 nights, 4 shows. Who knows? Whatever. But come. Try to have the CD done. I'll try to have some T-shirts done. I plan to have Filter Free America T-shirts done by then too. So I have some pretty cool merch that you guys can buy. Hopefully buy. So this long-ass trip that I'm driving down there, I can at least do more than maybe break even. But whatever. But even if I break even, doesn't matter. I'm cool. I'll get to contact with you, and that is extremely valuable, and I want to tell jokes to you people. So that's good. You people. Yeah, you people. What else? Anything else? Oh, well, I'll tell you this. We did record 2 episodes with Tom. This one you're about to hear, which is the interview of him. But get this. I also flipped the script, right? I'd made Tom interview me about something crazy that happened in my life, right? Back in 96 when I got shot 3 times. Yeah, not 3 different occasions, but 1 shooting, 3 bullets, whatever. I wanted to tell that story here on the podcast, and I didn't want to just tell it. I wanted to be interviewed by it. I thought Tom was the perfect person. Not only because he has his, his thing about guns, but he knows me pretty well, and he's got a curious mind as do I. And he did a really good job interviewing it. So we got that one recorded as well too. I probably won't release that one right away because I want to give you like back-to-back Tom. As great as Tom is, you probably don't want to. You want a little break between Tom settings or sessions, whatever. Technically I'm the guest, so I guess it really doesn't matter. But whatever. I'm rambling again. 25 minutes in. Haven't even started the show yet. 25 minutes in. Whatever. Clearly you guys like it. Numbers are going up. But whatever. So that episode will be coming too. But that's not this one. This is me interviewing Tom, getting to know a little bit about his comedy history, getting to know him better, and trying to present him to you so you'll be interested in him. So again, one more reminder, TomSimmonsComedy.com. Now we need a name for this episode so we can kick it off. You know what? I think this one's pretty easy. And it's the title of this one's going to be the message I'm sending to you. And when it comes to Tom Simmons, this guy needs to be famous. Okay, so that's the title. This guy needs to be famous with comedian Tom Simmons right here on the Filter Free America podcast. Let's go. All right. I'm here with you, and we're going to talk about how are we going to build this? Is this going to be like the secret to your long building success, or
I don't know, man. I don't know. You've been hanging out with me for 3 days. You haven't thought of one thing that you're like, that's interesting. I'll talk to him about that. You're like we sit down and you're like, all right, what do you got? What do you got for my people? I don't even know. I don't listen to podcasts.
That's the thing. I always tell people, like, let's find a good topic, let's find interesting topics. So I start with, like, if you're writing a book, a biography about yourself, what are the 5 most interesting chapters? Give me those. And when from those 5 chapters, we think, okay, well, is there within those 5 chapters, which one of those is the most interesting in podcast form? And that's just okay. It's different. Sometimes I get something like when I had the lady in who had flesh eating disease. Like, we're talking about that. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
I want to know, what is flesh eating disease?
Flesh eating disease. She had the disease where she got it on her leg. All right, and hold on, I got a little static thing from my light here. Is that
what's causing it? No, all of electricity flickered.
Was it the whole house?
Maybe it was just that light, and that is all I saw.
There's a lot of power.
I feel like the snake thing went dark.
That was weird. Okay, maybe we should talk about poltergeists.
Yes.
And is your career cursed? Man, that's what it is. No, the flesh eating disease. She got it on her leg. Started out as a scratch, an itchy thing, and then the disease started consuming the flesh of her leg, where they actually had to remove a substantial amount of meat from her leg, and she was like a multi-month thing of recovery and all that stuff, and it was just forever life-changing. About 200 people a year, I think, get it,
right?
Kind of deal. And it's
it sounds such a mean disease,
yeah.
Dude.
And overall, worldwide, I think the average, is it 90% fatal? It's up there.
Really?
Yeah, it's like she's really fortunate to recover. She's a best case scenario. She got out much sooner than the doctors projected, and it's worse. Like, one of the last things you ever want to Google is flesh eating disease in Google Images, because you'll see some just way horrible things. Like, I did it, of course, when doing research before the interview.
Okay. So for that interview, you're researching. You got you show up to me with an empty pad and, hey, Simmons, be funny.
Well, this pad represents your attempts at promoting yourself in social media.
Okay, right.
Two lines of information that you. Oh, he's a comedian. That's it. What does he do? Does he do anything? Does he tweet? Does he?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's okay for comedians. Do comedians listen to your thing that are like, I want to learn how to do, not that I have nothing to really teach. Let's start there. And
that's not true. We'll go ahead.
But yeah, you have that all the time. How do you define your comedy? What's your like the guy? I think the closest anybody said to getting it into my head, what they meant was like, on a Monopoly board, if you're a piece, what piece are you?
Oh, that's deep.
And don't say I'm just really funny, because that doesn't matter.
All right.
And all the stuff he said to me that was like, there's ways I've sort of defined myself. I'm just going to be funny in every situation. I'm going to try to figure out a way to figure it out, be funny and thoughtful and blah, blah, blah.
Well, hold on.
No.
But what piece are you, though?
What's my piece?
How did you identify?
He also said the next thing, which I thought other way that I disagree with, was if people, you have to be able to define yourself, right? Like, your audience should know your opinion about a joke and a topic before you even say it.
Is this somebody knows what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
which I don't even know what I think about a subject before I haven't written you know what I'm saying? Like if they know, then so I want my audience. That's so that I don't know. So I haven't been able to that define yourself thing. I still struggle with. I'm like, I don't know. Sometimes I'll read something and I'll be like, oh yeah, that does describe me. You know, I like that. You know, but I don't know. I'm all over the place. I talk about my kid. I talk about. I look for comedy in everything.
Right.
On Facebook, it's mostly politics and stuff, and because that's, I think, what we're all talking about now, so to speak. You know.
Right. Do you feel that?
So I write the jokes about that.
Do you worry that you're, you know, and I'm asking because I've done this to myself when I came back to Facebook, I decided to do it a little bit differently and not promote so much of the political stuff that I used to and things, you know, of that nature. Do you think that brands you wrongly? Do you think you changed the perception of people as far as you comedically? And
I've always had a thing like you were saying, like I'm a political comic or whatever. I don't really feel like I'm a political comic. But I think that sort of stuff helps you. That stuff's harder to write, and that's your comedy notebook. Or my comedy notebook. So I'll write 100 jokes on how stupid fucking Trump is or Trump supporters and how, you know, if you support a racist, then that's racist.
Right.
You know? So, and then I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, dude.
I don't know. I think we're all trying to figure it out. Well, let's start with the decision. We'll call it that, the decision. Like when did comedy become on your radar as
something I could do for a living?
Well, let's go back even farther than that. What was your first exposure to stand-up comedy, period, as you remember?
I guess it has to be on television, right?
Okay. You remember who?
No.
Okay.
I remember listening to Wonderfulness. And is that the Bill Cosby album when he's riding the go-kart sort of down the street?
Is that what that one's called?
It's got Chicken Heart on it. It's got Chicken Heart was hilarious. And then it's got the go-kart story and a few other things. But yeah, I had him, and then I had a Richard Pryor album.
Okay.
You know, with Mudbone and that. And then that's sort of what I first remember. And then starting to see, obviously, A&E and all those comedy shows. I loved them, you know. So Seinfeld and blah, 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 all those guys, you know.
Okay.
Seinfeld and Paula Poundstone and DeGeneres and that whole group of, you know, Kinnison and sad to say, you're wearing the Hicks shirt, right?
Yeah.
I remember watching that Dangerfield special with him and Dom Herrera and Robert Schimmel and
Kinnison too, right?
And Dice Clay.
Dice Clay.
And and Dice Clay was the one I was like, that's the guy I want to go see at the Coliseum. You know? Meanwhile, the other three are, you know, and so.
What was your initial impression of Hicks? Because I know you're such a big fan of him now. Was it just lost on you? I don't remember his set. I can't remember what he talked about in that set. I know I've seen it.
He did I don't remember everything he did either, but he was funny, and he did the thing about it was very distinctive. He did the thing about like the girl that breaks up with him, and what he wishes upon her, and it's the whole truck driver married to the truck driver, and when she died is in his vial of his own puke. And blah, blah,
my God! Yeah,
she can't get up from underneath him, and that whole thing, and then she looks up, and it's like they're introducing him on television.
Oh man,
that joke!
I gotta watch that again. Yeah. That was
so.
A damn joke.
Yeah, and then so that you know, Howie Mandel. I liked Howie Mandel, so I was all over the place.
Okay.
Then I think JoJo Dancer's Life is Calling made me want to do stand up a little bit, and then
what about that spoke to you?
I don't know. It's just watching him do it was like watching him act out being a younger version of himself, telling the jokes. There's just something about it. It was amazing to me. And then I just. There was a contest, and it never occurred to me. There was just a contest in Tallahassee when I was going to school there, and I was like, I'll go do that.
What age?
Funny. I don't know. I could drink, so you know, early 20s.
Gotcha. How'd you prepare for it? Did you write material?
No.
Really? Would you get 5 minutes or what?
Yes.
Like you're one of those open micers. I got this.
Yes. I
was gonna get up there. Just turn the mic on.
That's right. I'll just be funny. So I
do it.
because I could in that window, you know what I mean? That 2.5 beer window, you could just, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if you and the first time I did it was like a contest, and it was sort of an open mic-y, and it was, you know, basically whoever brings the most people wins.
Right.
And so there was 2 dudes, me and another guy that brought people, and I brought more people, and I had that sort of, I was drunk and had that, I don't know, so I had people there or whatever. So I won, and I made it to the finals.
Okay.
Right, which is it was a Comedy Zone contest in a bar, and
was the prize like opening for somebody or something like that?
I don't remember. I have no recollection of what the prize was, but the finals wasn't for 2.5 more months. This was obviously some sort of ongoing contest that went on, and all the winners come back for the finals.
Right.
So the week of the finals, I call up the club and I'm like, "Hey, when's the finals?" And he tells me, and he's like, who are you? And I'm like, I won the first, one of the first. This is the day I won. And he just was baffled. He was like, why would you? Usually all the comics have showed up every night at all the other nights. You just, okay, well, here's when it is.
What? So like, did they forget that you won one, or what? I don't know.
No, I think that there was they just, some drunk guy won the first night, and then they never saw him again. You know what I'm saying? Like, comics come back and they go to the comedy club, and the guy that answers the phone at the comedy club would know if you were one of the local comics, right?
Oh,
you know what I
okay.
mean? Like, they would. So he was a little like taken aback, like, "Whoa, what? No, okay, yeah, you're in."
Okay, they just thought you quit. Is that what it is?
Of course. Because, right? How does comedy work? You don't show up once and then...
So give me straight. After your very first show of doing comedy, which was a win, you immediately stopped promoting yourself. After the first show,
Yes.
So this has been a career trend.
I went back to delivering pizzas and skipping
career
school.
trend
And
of
yes.
not capitalizing on your moment. This is ominous.
And then I show up to the final. Then I show up to the finals, and it's packed. And now, almost everybody I know is also there, but that's 12, 15 people, and they're all in the back. You know?
Are you still not writing anything? Are you still
still not writing?
Just beer comedy.
Yeah. And it didn't go well.
Okay. So
then it turned into all my friends and stuff watching me bomb in front of 200 people, right? So that was my next time. So I got the lesson I deserved, probably, obviously,
Right. Pause
and
for a
then,
second.
and
Stop
then
for a second. Here.
Okay.
Daisy, stop.
Daisy's cleaning ears, dude.
I know.
Could you hear that in your...
Oh, yeah. It's 11. I got to go through and edit that out. 11. 30-ish.
I just don't feel it's just not interesting to talk about, like, an unknown comic's comedy career.
I think.
Although I did work with the unknown comic once.
Oh, the guy with the paper bag?
Yeah, he didn't have the paper. Well, he did for the first.
Who the fuck? Can't tell me who he is. Who is he?
What was his name? He goes by his name. He books it Murray Langston or something like that.
Okay.
I worked with him at the Riviera in Vegas.
I guess I could have Googled that, and I probably could have found this. It's probably not a secret mystery, but to me, it's always been a mystery in my head. Who the fuck is that guy?
Really?
Yeah, I never took time to figure it out.
You figured out 9/11 and you don't know who the unknown comic is?
I moved to the hard shit first. I don't need any fucking warm-up sessions.
You didn't figure out. You didn't figure out the Twin Towers. You couldn't even figure out Murray Langston. He's like, what?
I don't give a fuck about what's inside the paper bag. I want inside the job. That's what I want.
Yes.
I want the whole enchilada.
Yes, but so people, get back to this. Nobody cares, is what I'm saying. Like, it's, I know, I'm destroying your premise here that people do, but
you think you're destroying it. You think you are. I've ran the simulations with this podcast, and people respond to the human story.
Okay.
And you have a unique human story because as a human, you get on stage and speak your mind into a microphone.
Which
so
I didn't
doubly interesting to people who are both comics and people who aren't comics.
Yes. When you're interviewing comics and stuff, do you find do people that want to get up and speak their mind sort of on stage, the comics that do that, did they generally start comedy because that's what they wanted to do, or did they start doing comedy and then go, and then figure that out?
I think the perfect example is a mutual friend of ours, and that's Stuart Huff. The interview I did with him, and he was, as he explained it to me in the podcast, he, started going to college, and it wasn't for him. It was not at all what he thought. And he thought that when he was going to go into college that he was going to learn all the secrets of the world, and he was going to like, this is where they give you the good knowledge. This is it.
Right.
And he couldn't have been more disappointed in the type of education he was getting. He said, I can't do this. I need something else. So his mind needed something else to feel fulfilled. And that's what drove him to comedy. And that's kind of was how he explained to me.
That's neat that he has that, I know story. Like, that's neat that he has that sort of artistic drive thing, or something in him that he recognizes.
Yeah, and he just wasn't going to be satisfied with, just becoming. And I used the word, and he's like, yeah, that's it. He didn't want to become the cog that he saw that universities being as manufacturing these cog thinking,
right,
paint by numbers people, and he didn't want to be that. And that was a freedom from that was what comedy was.
It's interesting that's a conscious choice that gets made, because I don't really remember having any kind of moments like that, or just life sort of brought me there.
Same.
And then I fell in love with it and was like, it didn't occur to me that I could make a living just telling jokes,
Right. Like I fell in love with the idea of it. Like, oh wow, that must be fun to do that. But when I started doing it, then I realized and appreciated why it's so great to do it.
What would you say that is? Like, if you the appreciation, what is that?
Because to do comedy, to me, to do comedy well, it takes a lot of, turning the microscope on yourself. Even if you're talking about something else, you're still using your own filters, and it forces you to, even if you're doing something, I have a joke about ramen noodles. Even if it's something as simple as ramen noodles, I have to look at that. Yeah, right. Isn't that ridiculous?
No, it's just funny that joke is on your mind because you forgot to put it in the set.
Totally forgot to do it.
It's right.
One of my favorite, best jokes.
Yeah, like, I got to tell Tom this joke. He didn't hear it last night.
Anyway.
By the way, so your listeners know, you recorded a CD last night. We did a show together, and that was the whole thing. Yeah. And I know maybe you don't want to date it, but you nailed it.
I did better than I ever thought I could do.
Some of your listeners showed up.
Anybody who knows me, that's, for me to say that is a big thing. I usually hate everything I do.
Yes, I get that. And that's not the time when you're taping and you need it and you got one shot at it. It's
literally we had one shot. One show got canceled because of medical issues, and then the other show, no one showed up for the late show last night, so we had one show.
Right.
And I would say 95-ish% I nailed it.
Yep.
That's where I'm at.
Sweet.
But back to what I was saying. It's
the joke you forgot.
Yeah. But to do that, you have to understand yourself, and I didn't know that going into comedy. It was only, and again, I always attribute a lot of, that step in comedy I made to Ken Reed, because he, owner of the Joke Joint, and the other, what's the Joke Joint called in Houston?
Joke Joint?
Oh, it's called something else.
Comedy Showcase?
Comedy Showcase. Joke Joint Comedy Showcase, yeah, in Houston. Or, is it Houston?
Houston,
okay. It's a horrible plug. Anyway.
Really?
He's like, sorry, Ken.
He must not work you anymore.
Yeah, that too. Well, no, he had said something to me, and he just said it at the right time. And he's like, the easiest material to write is about yourself. Start there. Look for uniqueness about yourself, and start there. And that's when I started writing about the GED education stuff and things like that. But once you get that, then you're forced to look at yourself, and you're supposed to look at yourself of how you look at the world.
Right.
And you have to soak that in. Where I personally didn't do that before. Like, I went through life just existing and being me, and I was never, reflective, or at least not to a degree that I am now, and not to a degree that I think we all need to be, because now I sit back and I think about things, be it a social issue or a cause, or why do I feel this way, or what's influencing me to feel this way, or what's influencing me to be pro or con something now. Because in doing that, I'm analyzing, I'm always mining for material, but to do that, you have to think.
Right, and make yourself think differently. So do you do that where you're like, you sort of argue the other side of your own point of view?
Mm-hmm. I especially with some of the point of views that I take on things. 9/11 being a number one thing. I try to poke the holes before anybody else can.
Right.
Like, well, if I was going to try to debunk him or go against go against myself, where's the flaws? Where's the holes? What's wrong with what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think
I
that
got that. My wife tells me she can't figure out if I'm a free thinker or an asshole.
can you do both? Because I think I'm both.
You're right.
I know I'm an asshole, and I really work on that, and I'm embarrassed by that. I hurt people's feelings. I hurt people's feelings I love and I care about, and I think, God, I'm an asshole. I try to be the nice asshole. I do. I know I am, though. I know, and it's not intentional. And if I've ever hurt anybody's feelings, I'm sorry. And anybody's feelings I hurt in the future, I'm sorry.
Right.
Because it's going to happen again.
But if you know me, take this sorry as it's okay that I'm an asshole to you in 5 minutes from now.
And it's not about being filterless, as like the name of the podcast implies. It's just about I think it's laziness. I'm too lazy to go through the motions of being gentle with thoughts.
Right.
Right. Like if you say something on on Facebook that's something I feel like I need to respond to. Right. I'm not going to sit there and candy coat it and go like that. I'm not going to say, hey, you're a fucking idiot. I never do that.
I do that.
Well, unless it's like a hardcore racist or some shit like that, then I will. But if it's just an opposing idea, especially because a lot of my friends are very liberal leaning, I have a few that are conservative leaning, and I'm in this middle ground somewhere. So like, I don't want to hurt their feelings. But
is that where you see yourself, in the middle ground?
Oh yeah, definitely. Not even the middle ground. I think I call myself apolitical. I don't give a fuck about anybody's affiliation about anything. I'm just going to go with the thing that's going to protect humanity the longest. I want people to be as most happy as possible. I just I appreciate human existence. Right, is my thing.
That's why you're not going to. We were talking earlier off thing about artificial intelligence, right? And how we're going to have to merge and blah blah blah. You're not a fan. You want to hang on to humanity.
I'm a fan of the positive potential, but I'm also a realist, at least in my worldview, of what history shows us. I mean, pick an advancement in technology and then tell me one that hasn't been manipulated or co-opted into being death and destruction.
Well, could you sell the upgrade that sort of blocks your brain from being manipulated and makes it stronger against manipulation, in theory? Then if you're programming...
But to do that, to have that technology, it still allows for manipulation. I mean, the final person, whoever owns the technology, whoever's the CEO or the board that controls that product, they understand that, hey, there's another value here that we shouldn't just let go away, and that's a militarized version of this. There's a population control version of this. There's a depopulation
so your worst case scenario, in it, as opposed to like
worst case scenario is everything we've seen. It's greed. It's the one of the biggest flaws of humanity is our greed. Now, and when I say greed, it's not always just greed of financial greed. I mean, there's also ideological greed. Like my ideology, it tells me that my politics and everything are the right thing, so I'm going to be so greedy as to force that onto a population. I'm going to force it to be more conservative. I'm going to force it to be more communist. Whatever. If you get that person that power, if that's the person at the end of the chain when these technologies come about and that's the direction we go, there's going to be a moment where they're going to make one decision or another, and they're going to either use it and manipulate it, or they're going to set it up where it can't be, influenced like that. And I'm thinking that just history tells me, and every bad thing we've seen, that they never make the right choice. From the atom bomb to everything else. They're going to use it. They're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's too much power. It's too much wealth. Wealth means nothing if you don't have somebody underneath you to represent how great your wealth is. Why would what in humanity, what in history, what in everything you know about humans lead you to believe that they're going to make the right choice on that? Right?
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Well, there you go. Then eliminate humans' decision making from the process and turn it over eventually to the algorithms, and then it's more safe. Because the algorithms that's what's making the choices over. But
there's still that one point of that turn when you do that. What has been programmed into those algorithms? What fail safes have been put in there? Before they push the button that starts the whole AI thing from going? What has been done? what has been pre-programmed,
Yeah,
what's
yeah.
been put in there.
That's where all the philosophy and ethics sort of debates have to be had as that technology is advanced. But once the computers sort of become smarter and can program themselves, it won't matter. Unless it's you put it in early or whatever.
Maybe I don't.
And I don't know. You just listen to Elon Musk talk about this. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Definitely not near educated enough to know how it's assembled and put together and everything like that. But the layman's education of technology that I have, everything has a program point.
Yeah, that's why I think. Yeah, I guess you're right. That's cool for driverless cars too, because that's one of the issues that they worry about is that people won't, because the car then will make the decision on who dies and who lives in a car wreck. Basically,
but somebody had to program its ability to make that rationale.
And now, because we're tackling equal rights and sexism, there's no programmed in women and children first. We all get an equal shot.
We all get a chance to die equal. Which that is the ultimate form of equality. Is we kill everybody equally. Everybody dies the exact same rate.
Well, it won't happen. Well, then it won't happen because the people that have can afford the upgrades and the stuff like that will live longer, and the people who,
and that's the next
people who are like you that are like going to be the underground resistance fighting to stay human, whatever that is.
Oh no! If I have money, please believe
you're going with the upgrade. Fuck everybody.
With the upgrade.
Yes,
I'll figure it out from the inside.
Yes,
but that's. That to me, and that we talked about earlier when we were getting ready to go to brunch earlier today, it's like, why wouldn't they do that, right? Why wouldn't they, the whole, well, I'm not going to generalize that, but I think a biggest thing about having, big amount of wealth is, that you're above another class. So why would anybody who's right now currently in the upper crust, the 1% of the 1%, the true elites, why the hell would they ever want to raise up the rest of the boats in the harbor with them? Why would they want that?
I don't
because
know.
It
Really,
devalues everything they've got. They're just like everybody else then.
Do you think that way? I mean, I don't.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. How many examples do I need to show you for you to believe that?
No, I mean in my own life, like I don't.
What do you know
I don't
about?
I don't feel like whatever class I'm in. I don't feel like I feel better than the people below me. I don't I feel most people just are trying to get to their place. They're not like my neighbor has a worse house. They're in a 4 neighborhoods over. I guess you do with that school district. We're not living there.
Your comparison is so apples and oranges compared to where you and I are at financially versus the people I'm talking about.
Of course. But
Okay.
they don't
Because that's
actively
different.
try to keep us down so that they can stay up. They're just staying up.
They
don't
do
even,
so by their profiteering. It happens. They've made that decision in their head.
Yeah, it's a result of it. Yes.
Oh yeah, look, these people are going to die, but it's going to be another $500 million in my account. So fuck them, right? That's happens, right?
Yes.
Right. Whenever there's when we were talking about the banks and in the money laundering scandal when they were laundering money for the narco terrorists that were on terrorist watch lists, right? There was a meeting. There had to have been a fucking meeting. Okay, they're not stupid.
But they won't take the money from the dispensaries in Colorado and.
Oh, they will eventually. It's just a slow climb. But I'm saying there's this point of decision where somebody made a decision. Okay, yeah, we're going to do this with these narco terrorists. We are going to launder this money, and we are going to put ourselves at risk. But the risk is a $10 million fine, and we're gonna bank $100 million. And we all agree? Oh hell yeah, that's $90 million. Good, done deal. All right, that's the thought process. Just like what about Bayer Medicine Company, and their history with associated with Nazis and everything else.
Yeah,
you get into that deep dark shit. It's always somebody's making a financial decision that trumps humanity. And isn't the use of Trump just perfect right now too?
Trumps humanity,
right? That should be his fucking next political campaign slogan for the next 4 years, and he's going to automatically win already. I know it's going to happen. Is Trump for president trumps humanity?
You think he's going to win?
Oh, I think it's, why wouldn't he? This clusterfuck of politics that we've got right now. Nobody gives a fuck about anything other than if their fucking shitty ass team wins, right? It's so the fucking right's so whipped up over this goofball. The fucking the clothing alone just angers me. The pro-Trump clothing. Like I posted this link the other day, and the Punisher comic book logo that all the the extreme gun guys like to use. Well, now that you can buy this T-shirt, it's got that logo, but it's got Trump's hair on it, right? So you got this Punisher logo. This is this weird skull with a big
Trump hair,
big floppy blonde thing on top there, and it's a popular deal amongst the rest. They're so worked up, they're so behind this guy, and they're not even considering, the bigger picture at all, and not letting the left off the hook either, because they don't do that either. They don't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck about the what was left, what was going to happen after Hillary. They just wanted Hillary, all right? They didn't give a fuck about the negative about Obama. They just wanted Obama, and it's the same fucking thing. It's that, and I use the term probably too much, but it is what it is. It's just it's political tribalism, and that's all it is. There's no thought. There's no nothing. If there was thought, if there was actual real concern, then the same things they're calling out Trump for today, they'd be calling about Obama about in his 8 years, and vice versa. Because the same shit they call, the right side calls out the left, they just fucking goes to sleep, and it goes over their head, and they don't give a fuck, and they excuse it away when the right does it. And that's all that matters. It's win-win. It's football. It's what's your favorite team. It's all it is. There's no fucking thought. We like to pretend that it is.
There is a difference. There's a difference on the environment. There's a difference. There's a difference there's a difference sort of at the core. There's that's when people say that they're two sides of the same coin, and I do it too. I have my joke. I have my joke about whatever. Like it's one's the left nut and one's the right nut on the same corporate cock that's fucking us all. You know what I mean? Like that's. But it's not. It's like saying, it's like a waitress saying, "Would you like this glass of sweet tea or this glass of steaming syphilis-infested?"
Well, give me an example. Let me see.
The environment. How about the environment? How about
the
environment? You can do willingness to have gun debate and sane gun laws. You can do it on taxes taxing the rich versus taxing the poor. You can do it on.
Which one of those you want me to tackle? Because I'll give you a left example that doesn't get considered. It gets thrown out the window.
Okay. Any of them.
Guns?
Yeah. What?
You want to do guns?
Sure, guns.
Okay. Obama set records for the amount of illegal arms that he sold to countries with horrible human rights records. Billions of dollars in arms.
That's our economy.
The whole collapse of Yemen right now. The people, women and children are dying left and right there. That's Obama's war. He started that. That was a drone war that he started. No one gave a fuck when that happened.
He started that war. He started the entire war.
He started that. The drone wars that we ran in there were what softened that place up. Now, in the arms that Saudi Arabia are using there right now are supplied by us. And it happened over Obama. The collapse of Libya.
No, Obama withheld the sale of the weapons to them. That's what Trump approved when on his first trip.
No, there was multiple deals of arms.
We've always sold arms to him, but Obama was, in a way, he was reining them in and not doing that. Arms deal wasn't happening. That's what was.
No, there's more than one arms deal within that 8 year span.
Right.
Yeah. There may.
But either way, that's not even the same issue. Like you can't. Me and you've had this argument before. You can't conflate the guns thing with war around the world when you won't do it the other way, when you won't do it back the other way. Like the argument you and I have had about guns, when you're all about stopping the military-industrial complex, and that comes down to their whole plan is to separate huge parts of society and create conflict and arm them both and make money off them both, and then sell them more weapons and then bring in more weapons, and then it becomes this war zone where then they can rebuild the economy in the way they want it in their hand. But you refuse to see that as what's happening in the United States with the same thing with the arms industry, with separating us out, arming everybody. Every time there's a killing, it creates more weapon sales. So if you're in the arms industry, you have a profit motive to create more of that shit to happen. Because every time it's like you just had a great sale and everybody comes in. It's fucking Christmas. It's Christmas Day at every gun shop after a.
It's been Christmas Day for the last 10 years.
Yes. So. But what I'm talking about, and what I was specifically talking about, was in this country, we Democrats obviously have a different gun policy. You know what I'm saying? Not that they've been able to get it through, but they're obviously they've tried to implement gun laws all along, and with the environment, obviously liberals are way more believing of global warming and that we need to get another energy supply, and we can't do it. And we start that process back to Jimmy Carter putting fucking solar panels on the White House, and the Republicans get in, and Reagan does the first thing he does is take them down. Literally the first thing. That's happening again to laws of dumping coal into the fucking rivers, and that a Republican gets in, and the first thing they do is overturn that and say it's okay. There's clear differences.
But
there's social differences. Republicans have fought against equal rights for people nonstop in this country for the last however many years, and at least 20. And then so there's another issue. What was the other thing I said? I don't even remember.
Guns, environment.
I forgot all about I forgot all about equality. They fight against that. And they work. They literally. It's almost all Republicans that vote for religious laws and breaking down that separation between church and state, the giving the rich back more and more money in their taxes, eliminating the IRS having the ability to go after people. That's all.
Here's the difference. Here's the big difference that you're not considering is why you're absolutely correct about and to clarify on the gun thing. I agree with you. Okay, I agree with you that there is it's. What I respect about gun laws is a personal individual right to defend oneself, and if you need arms to do so, then you should have the right to have them. But that's not me. I don't ignore the fact that it also, because we talked about this on the way back from Goonies, is like I'm disgusted by the methods, because it's like the NRA. That's why I'm not a member of the NRA. Why I don't support the NRA, because it's not a lobby group about actually protecting rights anymore. Maybe it was at one time, but it's not. It's the spokes group for the profiteering of what happens,
right?
Because that's what's more important than anything else, right? They don't give a fuck if their supporters who pay a membership live or die. They don't give a fuck. They want that money to keep coming in. Right. That's what they're fighting for.
That's back to the greed thing.
See, and it's the default. Even if it did start at a core thing of like, let's protect the 2A. It's not that now,
right?
So I can't side with them, and I don't side with any groups because of that. But the thing I think that you overlook sometimes when we talk about these issues of left and right. Is while the right does it very overtly, they're in your face because that's their platform, so they can do so, right? If they want to be hateful, if they want to use religion as their deciding factor of everything, that plays in their hand, right? While the left does it completely opposite. Well, they smile in your face and tell you, we need equal rights and we need this and we need this. When Obama was trying to push through, that the trade deal, I'm gapping what it's called now. The big trade deal that was the TPP, thank you, that was going to involve all these multiple countries. Number one, that was going to be detrimental to this planet environmentally, because what was one of the tenets of that whole deal was that there was not going to be a courts overseeing these countries within this trade pact. The trade pact was going to put together their own review panel, put together of lawyers and everything else to review decisions and decide who wins and loses.
So they sort of have a planetary legal system as opposed to each country's
right.
Having
but these were all
these.
But it's not like
don't you
truly
have to though?
But it's not truly independent though, right? If you put together these groups of these lawyers that you bring in, it's who cashes my check. Oh, it's these countries. These are the people who write the check. Of course, I'm going to side with them. There was going to be no independent thing. It's independent only in name only. When the country, the business is the one sending you the check, you don't want those checks to stop coming.
Right.
You're going to side with them. So it was going to be detrimental to the planet environmentally. It was going to release all kinds of environmental protections. There were, it was going to make environmental laws for these individual countries who are part of it were going to be obsolete because this would supersede those. This agreement of all these countries together would take precedent over established laws within each individual country and put us at an even playing field. Now, do you want to have the environmental laws that are in like China or somewhere else right now? Because that's that was, I'm using it as an extreme example, but that's what it was going to open up the door for.
That sounds to me like it opened up the door for the opposite, where it would be like you'd have to go by universal environmental laws based on this board.
But this board is all corporations, okay?
Right.
The people who wrote the TPP are the companies and corporations who are going to benefit from it most. They're not going to write in ways to lose money. And that's what being environmental is all about, is losing money in protection of the planet. Because you could make more money, but you're going to kill the planet faster.
Well, that's not a good business model. Your business model is kill all your customers?
Bro, we're ran by a planet of psychotics. All they care about is their 55 to 85 year lifespan.
Yeah.
Is my money going to outlive me, or I'm going to outlive my money?
So
that's all I give a fuck.
Back to greed, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's what it is. It's packaging, it's branding, and that's the difference between the right and the left. Is the rights, they're selling the same shit the right way to their customers. The left is selling the same shit the right way to their customers. And that's to, it's touchy-feely. Everything's good. We're trying to help people. But instead, when he was trying to press the TPP bill, he actually, what country was it? One of the small Asian countries who we as the United States had put them on a lower trade standard with us because of their human rights violations, specifically for sex trading and things like that.
But that stuff is all economic engine of our culture driven. Right? All that stuff is that.
What's everything. That's the head of the beast of the planet.
Yes, it is.
I mean, if you don't deal with that, everything else. That's why I tell people, well, it's about social issues for me.
I agree with you on the fact that they're like you said, two heads of the same beast. But the difference is Beto and Ted Cruz. The difference is Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump. It's like clearly a good person who's trying to tell the truth. Obviously, they're not, Martin Luther King or Jesus, but you know what I mean? They're good. You can obviously see goodness and humanity and a strive to at least be honest in them. And then the other, they're not even close. They're not close.
They're close because the ones that you support are saying the things that you want to hear. Okay? And you put yourself in the mind of a right wing person for a second, what little mind there is. Put yourself there. I'm sure that there's some things that they're questioning right now, but but he says everything else right? So he's doing the same thing you're doing.
The policies are clearly different. They're clearly different.
Okay.
One of them restricts rights of women or minorities. They literally do that.
There is no money in domestic policy. The money is in international policy and what we do on the world around us. The domestic policy is the distraction. The domestic policy is what keeps the slaves fighting each other and not fighting the masters. That's what we do with that. That's gamesmanship. They don't give a fuck about human rights or none of that shit. If they did, that same feeling would translate to everywhere that they're equally dropping bombs on right now. How does a line on a map determine when and where your morality begins and ends? Not talking to you, talking about them.
Yeah. I agree with that. But I don't know how much I really agree with that there's a they anymore. I used to really be down with that, but I know there's a few people because they own the money, they own the thing, but that have most of the power. But I just feel like it's about the collective, and we create this. We create, there wasn't a they that was like, all right, we're going to create this Donald Trump and put him into that's who we are.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think
that's
we said it the other day.
He's greed personified. He's like a walking fucking
he's
shit pile of
media
greed.
has became. He's everything that capitalism has became.
Yeah.
He's all that stuff encompassed in one. And some of that is left-leaning shit. Some of Trump is left.
Okay.
All
right. So anyway, then I went and did. I moved to Atlanta and I started doing comedy there at Uptown Comedy Corner.
This is after your failed contest.
This is after my failed contest.
After your failed contest, you're like, this is a sign for me to move to Atlanta.
Yes. Well, no, I did a couple open mics around. I don't know. I just had this once I did it, I was like, okay, I'll be on the Tonight Show soon.
Okay. That's how it works.
And then I would do 6 months later, I would go do it again, and then I started to have a couple routines that I would do. I can't really remember. I wrote a Bugle Boy Jeans joke and jokes about commercials and stuff like that.
You remember how that went? I remember those old commercials. Are those Bugle Boy jeans you're wearing? Well, yes, they
Yeah.
are. Thank you.
And then she'd drive
take off
away.
in the Ferrari?
Yes, the joke was, and then he walks, like she breaks down, and like 3 miles later he's walking.
Is that
like,
a
you need
broken Lamborghini you're
yeah,
driving?
is that a broken Lamborghini? It is. I thought so. And then he just starts walking. Yeah, so that was that joke.
That's
that was so then and then early on you don't know, and you're like doing a joke you saw from a television show. And
Are you getting paid yet? Are you making money?
No. So I did a couple open mics and then
So in year one,
when I moved to Atlanta,
year 1, year 2, where are we at now?
I don't know. It probably, I'd say 2 or 3 years after the first time I did it, I did it again. You know what I mean? I kind of took a bunch.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think you really needed to go do it and work at it.
When did you start writing? When did you stop doing beer comedy? Drunk comedy?
Right, probably right around when I stopped drinking. No, that's not true, because when I was drinking, I started writing, doing open mics around Atlanta, and then I started getting a little bit of work and some one-nighters and stuff like that. And then,
what year do you think we're in now? 90s?
93.
What was the comedy scene like in Atlanta, early 90s?
There was right when I started, there was like a couple punchlines, and then there was another club that broke off from the punchline. And then there, so
that many clubs. Okay.
Yeah, but they were all literally like when the time, like I wasn't.
It's the end of the boom.
I couldn't get into the punchline. You know what I mean? Like I was doing like, I don't know, where was I doing it? Like at Dr. Munchie's, like this place called. It was like just a bar that had like a contest that would, like, if you won that contest over the summer, like then you could go be in the finals at the Funny Bone, and then if you win that, you could get a week MCing. You know what I mean? That's that sort of was my path in these things. So I would go there, and if you won, you'd get free your bar tab covered. And I was all about drinking and at the time, and so I would go down there and do some jokes and win the drinks, and then come back the next week and be the host. And so I started doing little things like that, and then I got into the finals at the Funny Bone contest again, so it was like that. And then, so that was sort of the scene, but then those all closed. Like, it seemed like they all closed at once. And then there was only one punchline, which was like, you had to go sign up on the open mic night on a list of whatever, and you could go for 9-10 weeks at a time and never get up. It's just discouraging. And then there was another like coffee shop that we found, me and Kostaki, and Keith Houchin and Steven Scale. I don't know, all these Jamie Bend, like these, just all the little open micers that are around.
Was the scene diverse, or was it, because there's a large successful black population in Atlanta. Was it more black comics there? Was it 50-50?
There it was more. It was pretty diverse. Okay. I thought there was obviously more white dudes, that are that's just because I guess we need attention more. I don't know. But I remember there being plenty of funny girls, and Barbara and Jody Milks, and anyway, there was plenty. And then we would, and that's when I started sort of writing in notebooks, and Kostaki and I would get together and write, like in either at my apartment or at his mom's house up above her garage. She had a room, and we'd just sit in there like for 10 hours just writing and just trying to write comedy and figure out jokes and pick subjects. And
God, the two of you, that's an amazing,
it was fun,
creative team right there.
Yeah, and then we did a lot of our writing together for a long, long time, and then we go down to the open mics and we try them. That open mic, that was really it, that one night a week at Caffeine's. And then,
so people weren't doing like they do now, like hey, I'm just going to start my own open mic. So you guys weren't thinking on that lines? Like,
no, and it never occurred to me to even do that, which right. I don't know that I could have anyway. Just, there was that place, and then the punchline, and that you couldn't really get up at the punchline. And then I started to like seek out places, like then I found there was a place called now I forget the name of it. Chris Charles was the host. Anyway, it was like an underground, like all black comedy venue, and I went in there, and I was like the only white guy there, and all the comics were super cool to me. But man, they used to shake keys if you sucked.
Really?
Yeah. So people have their keychains out on the table, and they start hearing them.
Most of those were Cadillac keys, so they were much louder and hevier.
There was I got up there. It seemed like everybody in the crowd was a janitor. It seemed like so I got keyed off fast.
How many houses do you have?
I got keyed off fast, and then
were they not relating to your material as from your perspective, or what was the deal?
It was both. It was I didn't know them, they didn't know me. I was scared. I was already a scared. I used to not be able to eat the whole day before I would go on.
Really?
I really would get nervous, and I hate being in front of people. I still, like you saw me last, like I still get before I go on. I'm like, oh my God. Like
Really?
my thought is, that's always, I hope this doesn't go terrible.
I always think that you're just really focused and you're just mincing your thoughts in your head before you go on.
I am trying to I'm looking at my set list and I'm looking at jokes and I'm trying to get in my head, like, all right, when something happens, I'd always try to have a few one-liners ready for if my brain panics on me, you know what I mean? Sometimes it's just like all of a sudden I can't remember, or I feel that like intense insecurity of being in front of people. Like sometimes and so I'll try to have a few, not as much now as I used to, but I try to have a few one-liners like that are ready. They used to be like, if you think Jeffrey Dahmer would have eaten Carrot Top, he'd have had better night vision. It's like, and then I go, and then it's like, and then I go back to what I was doing, and then it's like, some goofy offbeat one-liner that I knew would sort of boom, 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 and hopefully that would buy me time to think of what I was going to do. I don't really have that as much now,
right.
But
you're probably doing it more off the cuff now than anything anyway. Now you're just, if something's uncomfortable or something changes, I
just say it and address it, and it usually gets you somewhere, which I'm finding, which is new. Like, I've been doing comedy forever, and I feel like I'm figuring stuff out that I hadn't ever. Just recently.
That's important. How many years in do you think you're on it?
23.
23. Okay. You're a working headliner, but you're still figuring it out.
Yeah. Like being able to like talk to crowds is sort of like when you do crowd work. It's somehow when it's natural, I can pull it off. But if I'm like, all right, it's always like, what do you do? And then what do you do is what I ask. Like that's such a stupid generic question. And then no matter what they say, I don't have a joke.
I come to comedy shows sometimes and wait for jokes.
I'm a dentist. Oh, my buddy Kostaki has a dentist joke. Wish I had one too. What do you do? Like. So, and it seems so simple, but I figured out a couple weeks ago that when someone catches my eye and is interesting to me, I should say, hey, what's up?
Right.
Just talk to that person because something about them has sparked my interest already. So if I'm interested in them for real, instead of just trying to get them to shut up or just trying to kill time.
Let's find an example. Did that happen to you last night? You went on stage last night. I performed right before you on the same crowd that you saw. So when you got out there and you saw that crowd, 60-something, 70-something people, I think, all together.
First, I'm just trying to tell a couple jokes to get going, and then talk about what you were saying. Go off what you were saying, and then you start to find that yes, there's I thought that person already doesn't like me, and then I looked her in the eye, and I was like, okay, she's hammered, So you start to
that table right there, kind of just left of center stage, right there up front.
Yeah. So people and so whatever. Like once you start to look people in the eye, you start to form little stories in your head about what they're thinking or who they are or how drunk they are or if you need to avoid them or they're going to have fun, and you just. Is that what's going on in your head at all? Like when you're looking at people, you're sort of
it's still faster for me. Things are still happening faster for me.
Right.
And mainly because I took that 2-year break, so I'm just now getting back to where I was comfortable when I stopped 2 years ago. But even now, I'm starting to get that. I'm starting to have that skill, but I'm still a little anxious of I can't stop. I can't stop too long. So I'm still working through that. I know what you're saying, and I know that how important that is, but I'm still trying to get to that at least consistently. Sometimes I'll get in the right zone and I can do that, and I've done some really good crowd work and stuff, but
yeah, I would rather stick to my act and do my jokes. But something about like being able to sort of jump in and out of it creates a connection that doesn't like
it makes each show original, just like what we saw when you went to go to Acme to saw Robert Kelly.
Yeah, he was really good.
What we decided 10 minutes up front, maybe almost, was just either some prepared specialty stuff for the venue and the location, but a lot of it was just off the cuff.
Yeah, or
with some guy on the front stage who had his feet on the stage.
Yes,
yes. That to me, that's the show you're only going to get that one time. Some of that stuff he said, and that's what sticks with people. That's what clings to them. So. It gives, it's the glue for all these great jokes that makes the act.
Right.
If you can get that naturalness in there.
I feel like with my stand-up, like over the years, I've I was working with a guy a few months ago, and he would just go upstairs on stage and talk to him, and I'd do my and we were doing that. We were alternating sets, like because I was working on a ship with him, and he would open or whatever. There's an opener, and then you do your 40 or whatever, and then the next show there's an opener, and he does his 40. So, but all the way through, and this is sort of consistent in comedy, I think in general for me at least in my mind, that I'd watch like my show. I felt like they're laughing hard. There's a lot of jokes, right? And so they're laughing pretty hard all the way through. There's a lot of really big chunks of laughter. It's good laughs, and then at the end they're like, yeah, that was funny, good job, But then another guy goes up and starts talking to him, and there's the key is you just got to be willing to not be funny for 3 minutes at a time. Like you just talk to the crowd sort of, and then things start to happen because we're naturally comedic. Mm-hmm. But there's no laughs for, minutes at a time, and then a big laugh, and then minutes at a time, no big laugh. And at the end, the crowd generally connected and liked the show more with the guy that they didn't laugh as much with. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And you know what that speaks to? And I think that speaks to what I was trying to say about comics and podcasting and why it's so important. Because what they're doing right there on stage with crowd rep is the same thing they're doing with podcasts. Is they're giving you something that you're not going to get from the act. And it's a personal connection. Right? And even sometimes it's a trick, some of the best people like Chris Barnes, who does a lot of that, crowd rap type material. A lot of it, when you go to see multiple shows, you see a lot of it is some practice tricks.
Right.
And it convinces the audience. When I first saw him, I'm like, this guy is amazing. How is he doing this? Right. He's making this up completely. And I took a CD home that I bought. Like, I can't wait to get a CD home. I'm like, holy shit, it's the show I just saw. He's doing these same tricks here. Not to diminish his act at all, because if you get a chance to go see Chris Barnes, go see Chris Barnes. Super funny dude. But it's brilliant staged tricks that he's done and crafted and honed in such a way that it just feels like this natural connection. But
I remember my father telling me that about Don Rickles. He went and saw him and just loved him, and he was like, he's just making all this up. And then he was in the same hotel or something the next night, so he kind of wandered in to watch somehow he got in to watch some of the next show,
right?
And it was the same, and it made him not. He was so disappointed.
You lose some of the illusion of it.
Yeah, and it was like it broke his heart a little that he'd been fooled.
Yeah, I was the same way. But I learned a lot from that. Was when I watched Barnes. That was like one of the first nights of me going to the Joke Joint open mic. Because for some reason it was Valentine's Day, and he was the headliner, and they had a show after because it's the same night as the open mic. So he's like, yeah, hang out, and you can watch the headliner. So to me, it was like, oh my God, I've got all this stuff. Then I got home and understood the deception, but I also educated me too. So
right.
I learned a very critical thing about stand-up from that, like night one. So it was kind of...
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did not learn anything night one or probably the first year and a half.
Yeah. Well, that's, what I say, that, the greatest loss that the Twin Cities comedy scene has had is losing the consistent open mic and workshop that the Joke Joint had.
Really?
Yeah. I
know Conroy came out of that too. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, where they worked, and it's funny, he worked.
Ken was firm but so fair, he only a couple things that I disprove, and I think it's only because it's unique to my act that I disprove it. But 99% of the stuff that he ever told me is spot on correct, and I still carry so many of those lessons with me. And it was the perfect springboard to get me started. Right, was going to that open mic and getting, you get took down and built up.
I didn't really have that. We didn't really have that in Atlanta. We had the things, and we all thought, oh, we'll just do this. And then it was like you start driving to Chattanooga, and that's when I started. Then, at first, I started to. I remember that was one of the first times I read a comedy writing book. Mm-hmm.
Is that the Comedy Bible?
No, the Comedy Bible was many years later. But I don't. That's actually when I stopped reading comedy writing. But about around then,
that's the only one I've read.
Yeah, it's funny. I think too many comics have read it. To be honest with you, I feel like. Well, I watch comedy sometimes. Yeah, but I watch comedy sometimes, and it's like I'm like, it's like, why does every comic think that we care about your life? We don't. Your life isn't. It's not. Until you write jokes around, it's not fucking interesting. It almost that's why you don't have like, I don't know. I'm trying to make fun of it, but people say, go up there and be yourself. Almost nobody. No. Like, if I go up there and be myself, I'm a fucking weirdo that sort of reads too much and got rambles and blah, blah, blah. So you go up there and you be fucking funny. Be a funny version of yourself. If you're just, that's
the difference.
Yourself. Like, nobody talks straight for 45 minutes with nobody talking back. Go up on stage and be an asshole is what they're saying.
That's just difference in, explaining it when you say be yourself, but it's always a comedic version of yourself. It's always, you don't just go up there and tell a flat story about your life. You tell a comedic translation of your story of your life.
Yes, you tell the best version, the one that gets you laid version, like the one you use on the date. That's like, let me tell you the story about the yes.
One of the most funny, not funny stories I know about comedy was there used to be an open mic that Darryl Horner used to run at Station 4 in St. Paul. Darryl Horner was our MC last night. And
he was amazing.
A great guy. Just the perfect MC. He's really good.
See, like, if you said that about me, I'd be insulted. You'd be like, I guess not insulted, but it's like, he's just a really good comedian. I don't know that
he's a great headliner. I mean, his headline sets are just as good as MC sets, but there is the difference between a good and a bad. I'm a bad MC.
Right.
He
really is he said some things, he said a couple things about MCing last night when we were talking that I've never heard or thought in all the years of doing comedy.
Do you remember? I remember the conversation. I just for the listener.
Now I don't remember either, really. I remember when he said it, I was, give me a minute.
Right. But I'll just to describe him. I mean, he is not only does he. I mean, for people who don't understand, the MC position is the most important position in a comedy show. It is. It's the first interaction with the audience, and shows can be successful or fail based on the MC spot, and it's hard. You go up to the coldest of cold audiences. You're starting out fresh. Not only do you have to do jokes, get some laughs, get them warmed up, but you also have business things to do. You have to talk about cell phones. You have to talk about drink specials. You have to talk about whatever the club wants you to do. And you have to do all that, be organized about it, do it within a certain amount of time, and still manage to try to be funny enough to, break the ice with the thing. And it's not rewarding most cases. An MC like Darryl, I'm sure it was rewarding to him because he gets killer laughs. The night before, when we went to go see Robert Kelly and Mike Early, who I'm a huge fan of. I've always been a huge fan of him just as a human being. And
he was really funny.
He crushed in the MC spot.
Right.
So jealous of him. Granted, it's Acme, and it's pretty friendly grounds there.
But he made it hard on the feature.
He did. He did. He that was a killer MC set.
Yeah.
That was killer.
He's got good jokes. So, and sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was hoping you had your thought about Darryl at that time.
No, it was more about one of the things he said was about setting up the room. Like, he knew what you talk about. He knows what I talk about. So I felt like I knew the crowd before I walked on stage because he sort of helped define them by finding how they felt about
what you said when you went on stage
is
a good compliment and also a good description of him. You said, that intro made me want to see me.
Yeah, exactly. It did. Like, I was back there like, come on. And he said, this might as well be going, it's the best comedian you're ever going to see. It's like, it made me be like, wow, yeah.
And that's every time. And he does it at open mics. I mean, you bring him on and you're running 15 to 20 comics up there, and every 15 or 20 comics, you can't believe how lucky you are.
Yes.
See this guy. You just came at the right open mic at the right time.
So that transitions
to
me.
This 1 year comic do 3 minutes.
So that transitions. You're seeing the guy that's going to be huge, and you're going to say, but he does it in a way that doesn't sound fake. So that transitions me into where I really feel like I got my start, which was then I figured out after I did that show that I got keyed. Then that was right around the time when Def Jam hit.
Okay.
Right. So then,
that's what I want to know.
So
I don't know how
that was then the guy that I was sort of doing he was based in Atlanta that liked me and was starting to give me some one-nighter work around. He then and Earthquake sort of went in on opening up Uptown Comedy Corner. So that guy got some investors, and Quake was sort of part.
Is Earthquake still doing comedy?
Yeah,
he lost a lot of weight, right?
Yeah, I think he's got a radio show. I just saw some rant that he did on Instagram or on Facebook the other day.
We're gonna follow some stuff.
I haven't seen him in a while. He was like
my early BET comedy memory is him. He's the most distinctive comic from that when I was watching that.
He's a monster. Like there's like
fantastic.
So I would watch. They had Uptown, and I remember I was so excited to have a club, and we'd go and I'd sit back on the DJ booth stairs, and then I ended up with a job in the kitchen. Like the place was at first it was just empty, and Quake's up on stage hosting to 14 people here, 14 people there. I remember we did a show once where Barry Bonds and his crew came to the club. They were gonna they talk somehow got him. He's gonna come down to the show, and it was like them and maybe 7 other people that were in the crowd, and so we did like an open mic for him, and it was weird, and I made it weird because I said some weird stuff to Barry Bonds. Anyway, so but then it's sort of
now,
cool.
hold on. I'm gonna let you step over that. What'd you say to Barry Bonds? Please tell me it was something.
I knew
was
he was
pre or post steroid scandal.
Pre. It was like it was in the run where
still the Pirates.
Yes, because we were in a playoff chase with them, and he was pretty confident that they had it.
Okay.
And then we ended up coming back and catching them. But I remember that was the year we were down by like 12 games, and we came back and beat him on that Sid Bream, I guess. But it was starting to build, and at the time he was married to a Puerto Rican girl or a Hispanic girl or something, and I was joking around about it. Yeah, I could tell you're not married to a black woman. There's no way or you must be married to a white woman, because no black woman would believe that you're out at a comedy club with 7 other people. Like, you're Barry Bonds. So I was like doing that sort of, and it just caused awkwardness. I don't think that's why he left, but I pointed out like, wow, you're Barry Bonds and you're here with me with 9 people, you know?
Well, you're better than most pitchers that you got him out before they did. So.
Zinger. So then Uptown builds into this thing, you know,
right.
And Quake would host all the shows, and he would host the open mics, and he would teach comedy, like from the stage to all of us, just sort of, to the crowd. And he'd be like, yes, you gotta have jokes. You gotta work on this. You gotta have stage press. He would sort of explain to people why they got booed. He would talk to the crowd about, this is what you gotta recognize when guys are doing, you know, and then I learned, and that's another thing I learned, because at Uptown, how I did at Uptown, especially for the first few years, relied totally on the introduction. If Earthquake gave me like this loving introduction, this guy's funny, give him a listen. If Zooman gave me an intro like that, if they gave me I could go, like I'd get that first few seconds of like credibility that would help me get rolling, you know.
That's exactly what Darryl does.
Yes.
That's why I chose him last night. I was like, I feel psychological, like just like you felt. Like I'm excited to see this guy.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh well, if they believe it now and I believe it now, he programmed me. He's just almost like pick your personal life coach. He's like a life coach for a comic right before you go on stage.
Yeah,
he
was
just
good.
enough.
It was really good
to give you the juice.
This scene is great here, you know. And then Atlanta sort of split into the scenes of like sort of the Uptown scene versus the sort of the punchline.
Okay.
It was like almost like mainstream comedy versus Def Jam comedy.
Okay.
You know, so
and
Uptown would boo you off. They didn't do the keys, and then the other place sort of closed. Uptown sort of shut it down, and then.
So are you doing mostly the black?
Because that's the only place I could get on stage too, and I would go do other, like, you know, I would go do punchline if I could, or blah blah blah. I thought it did nothing but help me, and it gave me sort of a pat myself on the own back, like, because most of the other comics I knew were like, they were afraid to go, what, you Uptown, like you get booed, like they were afraid to go in there. Even the black comics that did sort of mainstream comedy, they were like, I'm not going to Uptown, you know, so it had this illusion of being really hard to do.
Did you change your act at all to cater to that audience, or did you just learn how to do your act to that audience?
Both.
Okay.
I learned to open with a few I'm a cracker jokes, you know what I'm saying? But I also then learned what I couldn't do. You know, you can't. The heckling situations gets a little weird. Mm-hmm. You know, when you start snapping back with people and like you're the total minority and you're not comfortable yet, you know.
Right.
So
I learned risk factor.
I learned Earthquake told me you got to open with your closer. You ain't got time.
Right.
You ain't got time to get to your closer. You open with your closer.
Get their trust, and then maybe they'll pay attention to somebody else.
Right, and then it was, it always made me stronger. Every time I was there, it made me stronger. You cut the fat. You also, I'd start to learn to be more myself. like that. I guess all crowds do, but it seems like black crowds do more. Like
I can't see character acts doing well in black clubs.
Sometimes they do, but like they're like
or white character acts maybe might be a better way to say it.
There's just a bullshit meter that seems a little more easily read by a black audience than a white audience to me. Like they don't put up with sort of corniness.
Well, see, they're used to getting lied to by white men a lot.
Right.
So they've determined how to pick it out a lot better.
Yes, and there was a certain percentage of people that you walk on stage and they're like, and they just literally turn away as soon as you walk on stage because you're a white guy and they don't give a fuck.
Right.
That's not what they came for, you know. But you could just start to win people over, and then the comics would come off stage, and the comics were always like really cool to me, you know. So I that sort of was encouraging, you know. And then, so I don't know. It just so then I started doing. My goal was I wanted to get on Def Jam, or you know, I ended up getting to doing a couple comic views and stuff. But
so
you know,
let's talk about that then. How long were you in? Where you got is comic view your first official credit then?
Probably. I did a CMT, which was an old country station.
Okay.
They did like some show. I can't remember the name of it either. It was like
they had a comedy thing for a while.
It wasn't a comedy show. It was like I was part of the show Be a Star or something like that. It was really early on in the country music channel, and I did like a short set there, but there was nothing. And then almost all my credits are like that. They're all like Comic View and CMT and
right before they go down.
Yeah, like or you know, Laughs and Comics Unleashed, you know what I mean? There's a Comedy Central but there's no like Tonight Show or Letterman or, you know.
Right.
So
how many years in you said the CMT was probably first. But
that was when I was way
Comic
open
View
micing.
was the most established.
Yes.
So how many years in when you got the first Comic View set?
Probably 5.
5 years in? How do they approach you? Who came to you? How did that go? How does that? I just want to know the intricacies.
Well, then there was probably Uptown, and all jokes aside, and there was Steve Harvey had a club in Dallas, and so there was.
BT it's based in Atlanta, right?
No, it was in L.A. I think at the time. I don't even really, to be honest, I don't know. But you know, there's a BET. They're looking for black comedians, so they go DC, Atlanta, blah blah blah. So. The sort of not tryouts, but the showcases or whatever, that I'd be on them, and I have a hook. I'm a white guy telling jokes that work, you know. And I was sort of a white guy that wasn't a black guy, if you know what I mean. Like,
right. You gave them some diversity, which is weird.
Yeah, so I had
to be diverse.
I was sort of, you know, so I played on that too, you know, like I'm the affirmative action part of the show, you know, all these guys are up here saying the right word to use, and I'm not allowed to use it, you know.
Right.
There's a way I could use it, but I don't, you know, I'm not going to test that theory, you know. It's like those kind of jokes, right. That play on race or whatever. But I also found quickly that black audiences also taught me that you can talk about fucking real shit, because. I don't know. They just religion is a little tougher, but everything else that questions that questions the government, that questions the authority, that it just worked way better than it works for white people, you know, and for mainstream crowd. I don't know white people, you know what I mean? But
you know why it works better? I mean, when you question it, you're talking to a culture of a people who've had to distrust. The government and everything, because the government's done nothing but kick them in the head every chance they get a chance.
So that gave me a lot of fun, and I just took a special pride in being able to go, and the level of laughter.
Oh, it's always better laughter.
It just ignites something in your comedic soul. There's nothing like it. And so anyway, so there was only a few. So, and then there was a strike one year where all the comics wouldn't do BET because they were paying like $150 or something, you know? And then when Ricky Smiley sort of started hosting, like his manager was part of the guy that owned Uptown, and, Earthquake, there's those guys, they'd say, this guy's funny too. So I ended up just getting a spot, Yeah. And that was, those are all times I wish I could go back to myself and just say, dude, would you just relax? Nobody, these don't matter. Just go up on stage and tell your jokes and have fun. It's like you get so eaten up with, this is it. This is going to change the world for me. And because you have that, or I did it.
What is
It just
it is a
doesn't.
badge of credibility, even if it's amongst comedians. I mean,
Yes.
it does open some doors, and any door that opens for you in any kind of artistic enterprise has got to be an advantage, right?
Right. So I always looked at it as like, it doesn't matter how bad it's this practice. This is TV practice. And so I sort of over the years got, now if I do it, it's not as big. When I walk out, I don't really worry about it. I'm just doing the jokes and I'm not thinking that's there, look there. It's just, you just perform now, but, and then I started getting road work, and then
As a feature at this time?
no, I'm just started, yes, feature, MC, trying to get works at, all around the Southeast and down through Florida, and calling the people at Coconuts over and over and over, asking for a weekend in Lakeland, just begging for just to get on stage and tell jokes, and driving to Chattanooga and doing that open mic, and I had a landscaping business with my dad, and I would just take off when I could and just drive around, do guest sets. It's just I started writing crazy a lot, reading about comedy writing and working on that, and doing it with Kostaki, and just I had this I can't fail mentality. And then my sister lived in New York, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna book a couple weekends up there and then stay with her and go do guest sets and try to blah blah blah. And then I fluked into, and some agent came and saw me, and I was like, I worked with this comic Brad Lowry, who was really pretty funny, and he sort of said, you should check this kid out, and he did. He came out and saw me do a set on a club at Long Island, and was like, wanted to know what I wanted to do, and all I wanted to be was a comedian, which
Probably not the best answer for that.
it was for this guy.
Oh,
And
really?
literally that is the only person in the industry that line, that's what I love about TJ. Like I was like, I just want to be a comic and I want to work the road. He's like, perfect. That's what I do, And he was like this kid in his agency who was all about booking the comedians and booking the road. And he was sort of, I think, ahead of his time, and like that he had he knew who booked every little room and would build stuff together, and he was on getting his guys into the Funny Bones and the Improv. So, and I think that helped a lot, that he was booking these, at the times, the Adam Ferraras and these guys, Christopher Tituses of the world or whatever. And then I would go in and be their middles, And so I started getting middle work at all, the Funny Bones and the Improvs, and then, and the weekend rooms and blah blah blah, and he just started working me. But that saying I wanted to be a comedian, that never got anybody else excited ever again in the industry, because they're like,
Limited options.
Yeah, you don't act.
Right.
I guess I could. And so I'd started taking acting classes, and just like the rest of doing the business stuff that we talk about that I'm terrible at. Like I recognized, this is a whole nother art, and these people care about acting, and they're committed to learn it. And all I want to be is a comedian. Like, it didn't occur to me, okay, if I do this, those will help me in my comedy, because they would on stage.
I was going to ask that question. How did that acting? How did it boost your comedy?
It didn't really, because I didn't stick with it, because I thought, I immediately recognized this is going to take a bunch of heart and commitment to be good at this.
Okay.
And I don't have heart and commitment for that. I have it for this other thing that I love, comedy, so, and it didn't occur to me, well, maybe that helped. Like, if you watch Bill Burr now, right? Like his latest few specials, you can see all that acting that he takes within it, because almost every bit is a monologue now. Like, it's a little less stand-up-y and a little more like, here's a character, here's me, here's blah, blah, and then boom, 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 and then that chunk ends after whatever, 7 or 8 minutes, and then the next monologue starts, right? So you can do that. So that every bit is an acting thing. So but to me, I just wanted to do stand-up. So then I'd start working the road, blah blah blah, and then I again got in a hurry to be a headliner.
Okay. Which is always a bad move, and I did the bad move.
Huh?
To hurry up, to push yourself past the growth process that you need.
And to,
well, maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
I guess I'm speaking more for
yeah,
myself.
I think we all do. We all want to be the headliner. We all want to get there. We want to be the middle when we're emceeing. We want to be the special act when you're the headliner. So it's just I don't know. It's a fun thing, man. But it's right now, if you're middling in all these clubs that have people in them,
right.
work in those rooms and build the next 30, and then you know what I'm saying. So
get ready before.
Yeah, it doesn't really do much good for you to go, in my opinion, to go work in front of 12 people so that you can do 45.
Right. And again, that's another Ken Reed thing. It's like, you get good, build an audience. Get good, build an audience. Don't worry about the next step. Just it's going to happen. Just you build up your inventory of material, build up your skills, and when you get into feature, that's the best time.
Right.
Feature is the best time because the show's not hinging on your popularity. You don't have that pressure to do. And you just get to perform. You get the sweetest spot of the show.
Yeah, it's just so hard to not want to kill and move up. I want to kill so that I'm the next guy, because you just love comedy and you want to. That's our goal, is to be.
Yeah,
I had Chris Rock, to be the Earthquake, to be
than I read it than I needed to be to appreciate where I should have been and should have stayed and should have kept going, and that's where I'm at now, where I'm perfectly happy where I'm at now.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I'm doing now too in comedy, which is I wouldn't say that's been the case all along, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a huge inventory of material that I can use to pay my bills, right? And now it's like, now I feel like I want to get back to scratch and be like, all right, here we go. Let's,
Well, let's talk about
I don't need to kill now, if that makes sense.
Right. Well, you just can. So it's not a pressure to need to do it anymore, because you just do it. I've seen you do it twice this week. So you do it at an open mic and just blow up an open mic, with a relatively small crowd, and that's how you kill last night. So it's not, you don't need to make that effort anymore now, but we just need to get enough people to know who you are and know your material. That's if I had a goal for Tom Simmons, that's what it would be, is make the world know who he is, so he knows. So they know what he's talking about and why they need to see him and why he's important to comedy and why his material is different than everybody else's. And
is it? I don't really. That's weird. Like, I don't really know that it is.
Yeah, it is.
All right.
Name me 10 other comics who talk about, at least from the perspective as you do and as articulately as you do.
Danny Bevins, Stuart Huff.
Keep going.
These are all non-other famous.
So far you've named 2 that are on my list of comics that are slept-on comics that people need to know.
Augie Smith.
I don't even know who
Chad Daniels.
Chad Daniels I think he's a little.
He's getting a little bigger now.
But I think he's different. Though I do keep considering one of the top 10 comics that people need to know that don't know. But
the Do What We Do. Darryl Rhodes, probably another one. I don't know. I haven't seen Kostaki in a while. I always think of Kostaki and I as being like, pseudo sort of brothers in comedy. And then I don't know. You're right. I haven't really.
But
I just feel like
what's the commonality that you named off? Why are they
friends
not
of mine?
You're the curse. You got the curse of you got the Simmons curse. You got that Simmons stank on you.
Bent Washburn.
Oh, God, he's finally getting. I think he's starting to get. I'm seeing his name more places where I didn't know of him till I got into comedy.
Yeah, and I think Stewart's starting to click. I think so. In other words, and also I took almost. It's like I stepped out of stand up for the last 4 years because my wife does good enough that I don't have to be gone every week. I get to be around and my son a little bit more, and I got they paid me to do the web series. They were paying me what I was making to do stand up anyway.
Oh, nice.
So I had to be home, and it was a fucking shitload of writing, and in a way that I wasn't really used to doing. Like, I had to start.
And all those are 100% still public, right? People want to check.
Yes. So, and
where are those at?
On Facebook, and there's probably they're mostly on Facebook, almost entirely.
Via your
Facebook, Tom Simmons. Yes.
Your Tom Simmons page.
Yes. I think I don't know where they are. And so then there's this. But these guys are starting to, because I've always had the philosophy of, if you just fucking get great, the rest takes care of itself.
You think?
I do think. There's no unknown Tiger Woods. There's no
no, I think
there's no Cy Young Award pitcher that's just out there that people, he didn't get a break. No.
It's different than comedy because the material dictates the popularity now. What you're talking about, and to a degree, who you are, like physically, is a factor into why mainstream latches onto you, right? I don't think there's an outlet right now that could be considered a mainstream outlet that wants to hear people questioning things to the degree that you do. Though you're doing what comedy needs to do, and you're doing what comedy throughout jesters in the courts of kings have always done, and that's question authority and mock the king in front of them. And
I love that, man. I love that because that's what I'm doing.
They don't want that. That's disruptive right now. They don't want disruptive comedy.
Haven't ever wanted it.
They want stuff that supports the culture, supports the narrative of where the culture is going, and they want that. It's what it feels like to me. I don't know.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's weird because I really have come to peace with I don't care. Like obviously I would love to be writing material that was relevant in culture and people wanted to see, and they were like coming to theaters to check it out or whatever. Of course, that's the dream. I want an audience to come to my show that is going to push me to be better. You know what I mean? Like some of the stuff you have to hold back in comedy. Like I can't do as much of sort of stuff about making fun of our patriotism or making fun. Like there's things that that's one example. But
even though that's probably one of the most important jokes you can be telling right now.
Right. So I feel like if an audience that wants to and expects to see that is coming, then they'll raise so I don't have to dance around it as much to get it across as I'm like embracing talking about it, Well, I guess some of that I'm trying to do now with my new writing with the gun stuff. I've got this 20 minutes of material laid out that I don't have. It's all there, but it's not there as like a piece yet, So I've got the jokes.
It was pretty there. It was
pretty
close.
So I have the jokes, but I've got to get it to coalesce around. I don't know yet, that thing that makes it a chunk. And so I feel like when the audience that appreciates that and wants to hear it is there, then it pushes you to do that plus some. And that's what I would obviously love,
I think my thing is what I'm trying to say is it's just in the world that we're in right now and the mainstream culture that we're in right now, a lot of things that you talk about, a lot of things that I'm building my act to want to talk about and trying to get my skills up to a level where I can do so successfully are not marketable topics, are not topics that the industry is going to push.
Right.
Because you're questioning what pays their bills.
Okay. You want an example of that?
Yeah, please.
I'll give you an example of that.
I always do.
This sort of has fluked into being the new closer.
Right? Oh, and what I meant to say though was that because of that, because the mainstream won't promote that and push that, then that the average, and I don't mean to insult anybody who's a comedy fan, but the novice comedy fan who just like waits for somebody to tell them what's funny is not going to get to you because of that roadblock right there, and because there's not a big icon of entertainment saying, no, this is brilliant, this is the brilliance that we need right now. Right. But no, they're pushing, and no insult to any other comics out there, the bigger, goofier type comedy that we see now.
But either way, this sounds cocky as shit, but I have those jokes too, and I feel like a lot of comics do, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like the guys I'm talking about, I have those jokes too. I can go out. I have better jokes about being a dad than the guy that's whatever. The guy that's famous for having jokes about his dad, being a dad. Yeah, that's just one type, but right. Like I have all those jokes too. So that's
if you were just that, then it would be a different thing. Though,
so that's sort of what I've tried to do is to have that. I want to be able to make that guy's crowd laugh and you laugh, And so now, like you were talking about building the repertoire stuff. Now I have enough material that I can go make pretty good money doing a gig, a corporate gig, or even doing a cruise ship. Like you would never think by reading my Facebook posts or like the way you just described me as comedy that I can get away with that on a cruise. But that's what I mean. Television's wrong. With a lot of comics, we figured out how to do these topics.
But they control the lion's share of the audience.
Yes, but they're not seeing guys that have done these topics across the country for 15 years, figuring out how to make people in Wisconsin laugh that disagree, and in Indianapolis, and in Kansas, and in Washington, D.C., like every possible crowd of America that they think doesn't exist. We've already figured out how to make them laugh at our abortion jokes, and they're like, you can't talk about that. Well, you can. You're just fucking underestimating everybody.
You got to stop putting those goddamn signs up and causing me to write jokes about them.
Yeah, right. So anyway, my thing now is I'm just gonna, like I say, I'm just gonna keep building and building and building new material from now on. I'm not Bill Burr. I'm not Stanhope. I can't I don't fucking write. I'm not Stuart Huff. I don't write all new hours. I'm not Titus. I don't write hour and a half show. I write jokes fucking painstakingly, seems like one at a time, and then try to build new chunks, and then I get laughs around those, and then I build the next chunk. You know what I mean? So then I put out a CD once I get enough of those chunks together. So,
but you still got to get to the point where all that work and all those piles of material that you're building up is going to be, desired or wanted.
I don't care. I just want the material. I want to leave.
Not for ego's sake, but just for the sake of having more opportunity to tell the jokes and spread the message. And at least that's my point of view. I don't care about the fame. I just want to be success. I want my success to go up.
Yeah.
It allows me to get on more stages.
I agree.
That's
but you know what?
I don't give a fuck about anything else.
My whatever that I have, my 5-7 minutes on money or the Federal Reserve, or my 10 minutes on banking, blah, 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 whatever it is. If I'd have told that stuff on television when I wanted to tell it on television, it would be, one, the material would be gone, and two, it's not as good. It wasn't as good then as it is now. Like, I'm allowed to still keep building. I just keep going with the thing of eventually, when I get that thing that you're talking about where people start to recognize what I'm doing, if they do, will have fucking 3 hours. I don't have to write the next new hour where, man, that stuff was good. I still have it all.
But what if your material is the salvation we need, and we need your message needs to be heard? That's what I tell people, man. I was like, hey, you got to hear Tom Simmons. I mean, he's going to give you something to think about and make you laugh in the process, and that's. And maybe I don't know, maybe it's sour grapes or whatever, but I feel that that's what's dying in comedy, is the core essence of how I see it. Again, this is an opinion here. The most important element of comedy is the challenging and questioning part of comedy.
Yeah,
and
that's what's fun to me about it. That's what I like.
Yeah, and to me, it just feels like it's getting less and less of that. I get a fill of it because I seek out and find those comics, and those are the comics that I tend to listen to and are inspired by and want to emulate. But I know most of the comics that I'm huge fans of aren't mainstream at all, and are not enough.
Yeah, there's no. I used to feel like there was extra credit. Like when I would do a Montreal audition, and I remember clearly doing a Montreal audition and doing a bunch of stuff about Israel and Palestine that I was like, this is funny and it's
smart, needs to be heard,
and and it killed. But they're not gonna. It didn't occur to me that you didn't get extra credit for doing the hard topic. Like you were wearing Hicks shirt, that's to me what gave him extra credit to me was he tried the harder topic. Like he had the joke about, he had the masturbation joke just like all of us. But then when it came to doing the hack joke, he would instead do the hard joke, and but there is no extra credit. They don't go like, okay, he made him laugh.
There's no extra credit within the industry.
Yes.
Right. Fandom and industry is two different things. Respect.
It is. Well, you get the fandom by getting they're both ways, right? The media can either, like you said, can either put you out there and then you take off, or you get so big that they have to come to you.
And that's like the Rogan model.
Well, Rogan,
comedically, he wasn't as big as he was until the podcast, and the podcast was him challenging a lot of mainstream ideas and things, and that's why he can send out a tweet, hey, I'm doing a show in 5 minutes, and then it's sold out, and people are still standing outside.
Yeah, but don't you think his fan base came not organically from stand-up, but it came from over the years? He was consistently he was always doing comedy. I worked with him on Long Island when I signed with that agent. There was a club out there, what's East Side Comedy, something like that. He just had like a starness to it. He was like,
really?
Like that thing where he's like, they were there to see him and just tore that room up with he had that bit he was doing about the lions having sex or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Oh my God. It's just like, and then that was right around news radio, and then he was Fear Factor, and then he got into the UFC, that he had his name there for 15, 20 years. People knew who Joe Rogan was. He just didn't have it stand-up wise. And
yeah, that's true. I guess that's probably a bad example.
And now he's doing it his way. He'd use them to get to
now,
where he is.
I guess what I'm saying now is he's built up an infrastructure of self-promotion. Everything is in his control, like I said, as presented, where he can say whatever the hell he wants to do.
And now he's bigger than he was when
he's
he was
bigger than
doing
he was before, and no one can stop him, for the most part.
Yeah. I mean, he's fucking a pretty interesting dude, and he's smart, and he cares about things, and he's constantly questioning and doing. He seems to be like another level, like, I don't know, spiritually, mentally. He just does it a little different.
Yeah,
which is where that's a guy right there. You know what I mean? There can only be a couple guys like that. We can't.
Or Stanhope would probably be a better example then, because Stanhope does his own thing, his own material. It's definitely not marketable mainstream,
right?
In no kind of shape or form. But he's got a ruthlessly loyal fan base, and he's able to do whatever he wants. And I'm assuming he makes enough money to be happy or secure in his whatever he's doing. And he didn't need, a late night David Letterman or whatever to make that happen.
Well, he sort of maybe did he not need Man Show to sort of bankroll it? To bankroll the way he did it, because at the time, right before Man Show, like he was the guy.
2 people in this room. How many people still know that in the mainstream audience world? Do you think was it that big, or I just not appreciating it because I was just a comic?
It was that sort of. No, it wasn't that big, but it was big enough that it gave him like that year or two of television exposure that translates into audiences coming to your shows, and then. Not everybody that gets that generates fans. Like, there's a lot of guys that were on Last Comic Standing. There was only one Ralphie May that was then made a career out of it. Right. And Stanhope is.
That's another good example right there. I mean, and then plus the stories behind why Ralphie didn't win, and we all know he won.
Yeah,
he should have won. They didn't want him to win. They didn't want him to be successful because he was fat.
Right.
Right. If they don't want you, if they're going to keep the door closed because you're fat, what if you're fat and call out the fucking? That's why I had to lose weight. I can't do both.
Right.
I can't be a fat comic calling out bullshit because they don't. They double don't want.
You're
me.
like, I understand 9/11. It's like, dude, you don't even understand that food pyramid.
Right. Why don't you talk about your collapsing health? Why don't you talk about that? How your blood pressure's dropping at free fall speed, you fat motherfucker.
Right. You got any architects that explain to you how food going into your gullet leads to you dying sooner? You got any of that?
Start with doctors, motherfucker. Then move on to architects.
This was fun.
So, but here you are now. You're a headliner. You're comfortable in your skin. You're comfortable in your degree of success. Am I right saying that?
I don't know about comfortable with the degree. I can mock my own failure. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't get. My mother-in-law doesn't tell me when the post office is hiring anymore. That makes me feel a little better.
Those are good jobs.
Man. I know that's what she kept stressing.
Lots of benefits.
I've lived in a motorhome with my wife, my career, and it's weird. I don't know how many comics feel this way, but I feel like I'm just figuring out how to do comedy. I don't care. I'm not figuring it out business-wise because I don't.
I've said that to myself every year for 8 years. Like, oh, I got it now.
Yeah, and then
next
you don't.
year, nope, I didn't have it, but I got it now.
Yes.
Nope.
That's what I love about it. I still love the process of sitting down in my notebooks and
that's the funnest part.
Figuring out how to make these 20 things I wrote fit into a thing that flows and then has a little bit of a story and a connection and like that stuff I didn't used to worry about at all, and now I'm starting to think about that stuff, and I'm like a kid still with like how I want to write new jokes and tell them.
Right.
I've seen some of these clubs that we were in just this week. I feel like, I want to do comedy again. I do comedy, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like
I want to do comedy like at this again, where it's just a comedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. My 2 years off was the best thing I could have done because it made me reevaluate why I miss comedy. So for 2 years, I'm missing. Well, I missed the most. I didn't give a fuck if it wasn't getting up to the next club, which is where I devolved to, where I was just like, oh, I just got to I'm in 2 clubs in town. Now I got to get to that third one and all that. That was what took over.
Yeah.
But when I got back, when I'm 2 years away and I'm working on my health, what I miss most is writing the joke, practicing the joke, developing the joke, and making that magic happen of just words and thoughts of mine to whatever audience, whether it be 5 people or 500 people or 5,000. Well, no, let's be real. I've never done 5,000.
Right.
But someday. Yeah. So we're close to the end of a full episode of content here, but did you want to share your, I saw you pull out your phone. Did you want to share that story?
Oh, no, that's okay. That's okay.
Well,
it'll be on my new CD. Oh,
I don't want you to ruin it. That's what I was going to say. You didn't want to ruin that as a closing bit because you're you're using that in your act, and last night you did it, and it was very successful. But that is a very telling thing. It's also very similar to what happened to.
Okay, so a few years ago, I sort of like this. I gave up on. When I gave up on America, I also sort of gave up on the industry,
right?
You know, or my ability to move.
When you lowered your patriotism to half staff permanently.
Yes. Anyway, I've done a number of over the career. You've done a number of auditions. You know, you do the Last Comic Standing audition, Cattle Calls. You do the whatever show that comics show up to show. You know, I've done an America's Got Talent audition where I went there and fucking put on a suit and went in there. Told but one producer 2 jokes, you know, or whatever it is, you know. So now when I do them, like the last time I did Last Comic Standing, I basically opened with, well, I know how this ends, so let's go. and then I told some joke that literally just, it was back when...
do you get TV time for your audition?
No, on one of them I did. No. But anyway, okay. I did on one of them where I auditioned, I did terrible, and I was an example of what not to do as a comedian.
Oh,
literally,
wow. Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Which I still kick myself because I did so bad, and then I walked off. And
did
then
you self-sabotage, or was it just not well received?
I was the first one, 9 a.m. I was all thrown by like that. I wasn't expecting it just to be 2 people out in the dark. It went. I told the first joke and expected it to work because it always works, and it didn't. And then I just sort of had that thing happen in my head where and then I walked off and sat down and did the stupid interview with him about how bad it went.
Right.
So I was so praying for a guy in a banana suit. And my buddy Jamie Lissow, they said, "You're not what we're looking for." And he was like, "So you're not looking for comedians?" And he said something smart ass and then walked off when they were like, "We want to talk to you." And he was like, "No." And because he knew, he was like, "I'm not giving you any more."
Right.
Guys like me don't think of that. They're like, "All right, I can turn it around right here in the interview."
Save it with this outro interview.
So anyway, I got this a couple months ago. This is a message to me on Facebook. "Hi, my name is blah, 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 and I'm a casting producer with America's Got Talent on NBC. You were recommended by a comedy club in Savannah as one of the best comedians in the area, and I wanted to chat with you to see if you would be interested in the next season of the show." And before you say, "Who books a club in Savannah?" I don't know what he's talking about.
All right. Pull your mic down just as you're talking down your phone or talk up.
So
that's perfect.
So my response back was, "I really appreciate that, man. While I'm interested and thankful, I'm almost positive I'm not what you're looking for on that show." Which I thought was straight up honest.
Right.
You know? "I currently live in North Carolina. I'll gladly come to one of the auditions if you'd like, and I'll show you all what I can do. I've been traveling the road and doing comedy in every possible scenario for 20 plus years, so I definitely have a wide range of material. I appreciate you reaching out to me. Let me know where and when the cattle calls are, and I will gladly come and audition. Thanks again." I hit send and then read that to Stuart Huff, who was sitting there with me at the time.
Right.
And he just laughed, so it egged me on. Right? He was like, "You did not say that." I'm like, "I did." Anyway. So he sent me back another one. "Hey, Tom, just curious why you don't think your stuff is a good fit. If it's dirty content, we can always work around that. Haha."
Like, what was funny about that?
I don't know what was. I think he was just saying, if it's dirty, you know, we can take care of that. Don't worry, we'll clean it up. You know. So no, like I said, I can do clean. Like I said, I work clubs, dive bars, cruises. I can adjust. Just experience tells me that middle-aged white guy with no real hook hasn't been a big seller for the industry so far. Although, in all honesty, I think my comedy's solid and funny, and I'd love the opportunity to show what I can do. Maybe I'm just being cynical.
Why didn't you play up the Lebanese bloodline then? You've become a demographic then.
I know. I had forgot about that.
Yeah.
Because I've only got one joke on it. And that's, you know. So he's like, no, he writes me back, "No, ha ha, no, we have all types of comedy." He likes ha ha. That's his thing.
That's his thing.
Yeah. "Can you send me some of your faster sets?" So obviously he wants a link, some sets. So I sent him a set. Here's a long set from Afghanistan that
Did we ever
seem to
determine
like.
what faster means? A faster set?
I think what he means is
like more
jokes per minute. Jokes
Okay.
per minute. I mean, you're doing 2 minutes or 1.5 minutes. It's
okay.
the idea is you know.
You want your one-liners. That's what he wants.
That's why this show's not built for me. I mean, like I said, when I was bragging earlier about how I have all those one-liners, I have the jokes, but somehow Tom Cotter, fucking perfect for this. Wendy Liebman, perfect for this. But even they're going to lose to the dancing dog or the girl with, you know, cancer and sings at 13, you know, whatever.
The dancing dog with cancer is an automatic win.
Yeah, of course. So then I sent her the Afghanistan one with a bunch of him. And then also, here's a more recent one about money in the Federal Reserve Bank, which is, you know, that bit, right?
One of my favorites.
Right. Which I knew he would Anyway, he sends me back that, hey, Tom, I think you're really funny. These sets are great, but this stuff would be too smart for the show. Haha. Do you have anything else that's a bit dumbed down?
I love that both those terms, too smart and dumbed down, were used without trying to be ironic in any kind of way. And like that was a perfect normal thing to say.
I know.
And that's where we're at. And that's
why where we're at.
Yeah.
Because that's, when I worked on writing, when I wrote for Ricky on BET the first year, similar thing, right? I remember Shelley Brown, Jim Brown's daughter, as a matter of fact.
Oh, no shit.
She was producing the show.
Wow.
She was one of the first women that I was like, that she's actively racist. That's what I felt.
Really?
Maybe she just really didn't like white people. Whatever.
Interesting.
Anyway, I probably shouldn't say that. She might be big in this business. Anyway,
right.
Fuck her. Her dad's with Trump now.
Right,
anyway,
no shit.
So the same kind of thing. That was like, we would write and hand in scripts or whatever for these sketches and stuff, and she would say her code for this is too white or this is too Saturday Night Live or whatever. She knew she's a different demographic. Right? There was an unusual amount of white writers in the room. To be honest. Anyway, but she literally came in and was like, this audience wants roaches and government cheese, and we're broke, and work at 2 jobs, and I was like, and I just.
Are you writing these are sketches or jokes?
Sketches, whatever, jokes. Okay. She knew and I just was horrified. I literally argued with her, and I was too dumb to realize then just shut up. And I was like, I do shows all the time for black audiences, and you're wrong. They're very thoughtful. You're underestimating what we can do. But
you're defending the intelligence of the black audience to a black.
But
executive.
I was just
just
dumb. But it wasn't even about that. It was a black. It's television.
Well, yeah.
She's right.
Yeah.
What people want is least common denominator. This is what works. Anyway.
Offend less people and be the least complicated. That's what they want. Those are the two factors. Less controversial, simpler to absorb.
So do you have anything else that's a bit dumbed down? And I sent him back. Give me a week or two. I'll record me reading this exchange aloud on stage. Can't think of anything dumber than that.
But in this guy's defense, you got a perfect recording of that too.
Yes, but in this guy's defense, the booker from Conan told me told me the same thing a couple years ago. I sent him the same set, and he said, "This is too smart for our audience," and did that ha thing. And
God.
Which is it's just in their defense. That's just a nice way of saying this stuff isn't funny enough. It's not.
No, it's not funny in the right way. He didn't say it's not. I don't think that doesn't imply that it's not funny.
Yes,
it just requires thought. And it also requires, rocking the boat to things that they don't really need right now.
Right. So I should send him back a thing and say, hey, if you ever come out with a TV show called America's Got Some Good Points, then I might be your guy.
And that was the end of the conversation?
Yeah, I didn't hear back from it. That's fine. I wouldn't have got on the show anyway, and if I would have, at some point it would have. It wouldn't. It's not a good fit for what I do.
Well, I think if anything, maybe the growth of podcasts, maybe that's why media, the guys like that need to pay attention to what's happening in podcasting and why the most popular podcasts are popular. If you think about Rogan, it's not, well, yeah, there's a lot of dick jokes and silly guy humor and stuff, but there's also a lot of intelligence and thought and important subject matter and things like that. Same thing with Maron's podcast.
Yeah, well, there's funny in all of that. It's just whatever you're talking about, whatever subject you choose.
That's what I'm saying, but the things we're talking about
it.
aren't things that you see right now in the mainstream media directly. So you have to go in this like weird podcasting, video casting zone to get that. So maybe they need to be aware of that and know what you're saying, that no, these audiences do have the capacity to understand and translate and appreciate something deeper than half my act, which is
right,
jerking off.
Hey, mix it in.
Right?
Mix it in.
It's a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Anything else, Tom?
No, this room is a little weird to me.
I love it. What's your impressions of this room?
It's your first walk. I don't know, man. It's very eclectic. Is that even the right way to say that word? I don't know. There's a snake. There's a huge snake. There's a little tiny clown skeleton. You got an American flag next to a cuckoo clock and the first thing that's jumped out to me the other day was the guns.
That's one art piece, just so you know. The flag and the cuckoo clock together, I did that. That's not by happenstance or accident. That's That's one.
So
art.
the flag
That's
is cuckoo.
Yeah, that's my art installation. That's what
Right.
that is.
You got the anonymous flag up behind you. You got Bob Marley next to some guns, which I don't know if he'd necessarily appreciate since he was shot by one and it was about peace and nonviolence. You got the 9/11 things. There's a lot of topics here. You know what I'm saying? Like you could look around this room and be like, this is like a premise hut. You know what I'm saying? Like
not the Secret Service, governments of the agencies, whatever. I'm not going to do this. But if I was ever to become a mass shooter, and this pictures of this room escaped, oh boy, this would that would just.
Well, I don't know, man.
That would write the narrative for him, wouldn't it?
No, well,
crazy
maybe.
Conspiracy theorist.
Oh yeah,
enraged Star Wars fan over the sale of Star Wars to Disneyland.
Oh, you have your own thing ripped out on it. Anti-government, police state.
Right,
yes,
right.
Yes.
Pro snake handler.
Yes. Like if I was a fan of like all of this stuff, like this is another thing we were talking about comedy, and people don't understand how hard comedy is to write to masses. Like I would think, all right, I'm gonna go see Joey Vincent do comedy. There's gonna be at least 10 minutes on police corruption and the police states and stuff like that, and there's maybe 1 minute of jokes about it. That's a pretty good joke, but still, you'd expect more. And you would have more, right? But that shit's fucking hard to make everybody laugh at, even if they agree with you on it.
I learned my lesson because I wrote a joke about why I don't like. Basically, the whole joke was written about when drone pilots, finger quotes pilots, started wanting to win medals and awards like regular pilots.
Really?
So I wrote it was a big deal. And so I wrote, and I did it on my first night back in comedy after 2 years. And in the room we performed at last night, it failed horribly, but it was like basically a 5-minute bit on just tearing down drone pilots. And my views on that, and the room just hated it. And now part of that could have been because I was super nervous and I hadn't been on stage in 2 years. And it was the absolute worst material. I should have just did some proven material and just got my feet under me, whatever. But
was there one laugh within it?
Oh, it's definitely a doable joke. I just got to redo it with both, being back on stage, comfortable again, and then do it right. But I'm writing all that stuff, but I've learned a lesson. I'm not going to do that stuff in a feature set because it's going to sabotage a show or has potential to. So I'm going to write that. I'm going to develop that stuff at mics, and when I'm headlining my own shit, then I'll do that stuff. And I've got more cop material. I've got more. I've got that drone bit. I want to talk about 9/11. But I don't want to ever do that to a headliner, regardless, even if it's a headliner like you who may appreciate it.
I don't think it affects the headliner show.
Boy, I don't know, man. I don't want to run that risk.
I don't think there's not much.
Here's the truth. I don't want it affect somebody wanting to work with me.
Okay.
Oh, God, you don't know. He does this and this and this. I don't want to deal with that what if. So any future headliner, if you ever want to use me, I'm not going to sabotage you by doing this shit.
Well, then,
I've got a whole half hour of
then you're not working with me. I want to hear I want you to make him uncomfortable.
Okay. Done.
Okay.
I'm going to give you, the next time we work together and I'm featuring, I'm going to give you 25 minutes of just hole digging.
Okay.
That's all it's going to fucking be. I'm going to take down everything.
Looks like he's got it to about 6 feet here for me. Step in this hole and start my jokes.
Tom, you are a fantastic comedian, and
thank you.
One I've always been impressed by and inspired by as a new comedian and developing comedian. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking time to do this podcast with me.
Oh, man, I appreciate you having me on, giving me a chance to broaden my fan base.
Yeah, you're going to get at least 2 or 3 more.
There you go.
Crazy, nutty 9/11 truther followers.
That's what I want.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, there we go. Now, if you didn't know him already, you have a pretty good idea of who Tom Simmons is. That's right, Tom Simmons. Website, TomSimmonsComedy.com. Comedian. Very funny that you need to support, right? If you support me, know that this guy is important to me. He's helped me. I learned a lot from him. Always been helpful to me as a comedian. So return some of that, some of the love for this podcast by supporting Tom Simmons. Go to his website, TomSimmonsComedy.com. Look up his future dates. Go to one of his shows, right? That's plan A. Plan 2, you can't go to his shows, but you got some extra money. Buy as many of his CDs as you can and enjoy them. And laugh your balls off. If you don't have any spare change, no spare money, that's fine too. Completely understandable. Do this. Go to YouTube. Look for Tom Simmons. Watch some of his videos for free. Enjoy them. and then share them on your any and all of your social media platforms. Doing any of all those things, super helpful to Tom. So yeah. I don't know what the next episode is. I think it's definitely gonna be one of the classic. I can't think of what I was calling them right now. But the episodes from Filter Free America that were previously released back when it was a podcast before, some of the prime ones that I've been promising you I was going to drop. Definitely that's probably going to be next. But so prepare yourself for that. And again, if you've already heard it, you don't want to listen to an older one, just skip it. I'll have more coming. I'll have more new ones coming. What else? We did that. Reminder again about the rate and review. Make sure you rate and review. Super, super important. Holy crap. Did I forget oh man, I forgot the sponsor in the first part of the intro. I just realized I never mentioned the sponsor. All right. I've been very good so far. I haven't messed up yet. You guys know the sponsor. It's simplewebsite.us. 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 That's where you go if you're trying to build a Squarespace website, right? And you want some help. That's what they do, right? They are masters of the Squarespace website building procedure tools, and they know how to do it, right? They know how to do it efficiently and quickly, more so than I do, definitely. I still barely can turn on my computer, right? So if you need help, like I need help, go to them. If you need a little help, go to them, right? If you just want some ideas, they got free videos free to watch too. Simplewebsite.us is where you need to go. They're the one and only true sponsor of this show, besides me and my job. So yeah, simplewebsite.us. I apologize, Simple Website. I'm not going to re-record that intro. You can give me a pass on just one. I'm supposed to get one in the beginning, one in the end. Well, whatever. You know who they are. All right, guys. This episode is long enough, especially with that 25-minute intro. Whew. Sorry, we'll keep this one short here as the outro. Again, as always, I love you guys. I really appreciate the support that you've given me thus far with Filter Free America. And God, and with my comedy and everything else, you guys are fantastic. You guys are awesome. I really, really appreciate it. This is not just talk. This is not me not be blowing smoke, but I do. It's humbling. It's humbling and flattering. And God dog, man, I appreciate it. There's tons of stuff you can listen to as far as media goes, and video, audio, whatever. But so many of you, and a growing number of you, are making time to include me and Filter Free America as part of your entertainment selection, and that it means a lot. I really do. Again, getting teary. I'm getting to be a bitch in my old age. Whatever. You guys are great. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your bodies. Take care of your minds. Take care of your loved ones. Go outside, do some exercise. Go to the gym, do some exercise. Build your body. Get your body stronger. Let's see. If you're like me and you have some weight issues, get in there and start fighting them today. Get your body slim down a little bit. Get healthy. Trust me, it's going to make you feel better. It made me feel better. It'll change your life. Whatever else. I told you about loved ones. Take care of them. And find a stranger. Do something nice for a stranger, right? See somebody broken down on the side of the road, they don't look like a killer, and you got some time, pull over, offer them a ride, offer to call somebody for them, whatever. Just do something positive in the world. So much negative right now. So many horrible things, what with shootings and horrific fires and all kinds of disasters, and including ones in Washington. There's more of us than there is negative. Do something positive, all right? Change the world with a little bit of positive injury. That's a Freudian sleep. Energy, right? And, make a positive impact on the world around you. You guys are fantastic. Make sure to spade and neuter your pets and kids. Keep seeking the truth, and we'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.